Heck it, we're heckin' starting.
We're heckin' starting.
Am I heckin' rolling? Yeah, okay, we're going.
We're going.
It's heckin' going.
It's heckin' going.
It's effing going. Alright. Welcome to What's Up. That show that happens. I would like to remind everyone this show that is happening right now, it exists in this time space, is brought to you by our patrons. Like Adam DeHarpon, Comics Arctic 10, Bloggers G, Carlos, Qua, Ferris, Jeremy Vasquez, Jonathan Sandoval, Kylie Den, Legendary Boston, Liam Kessler, Regent Raptor, Rogue Robin, Trevor, Shiny Peace, I'm Guiding Bob, Sodas, and 723. If you like what we do and want to see us do more, consider this page and you can access it early on, so you guys really help us out.
Thank you.
Thank you for your support, everybody. Alrighty, so... well, the people in the home version can observe now, hopefully, if everything's going okay, that Lucky is playing Strikers.
Yes. The opening movie is playing right now.
Okay, well, that might be a problem. Will Atlas get mad at us for that? I don't know.
So you're talking.
Yeah, I mentioned this off mic. The in-app restrictions didn't block anything until I got to the very end. By the way, it's official. I think I joked about this last week, Lucky. The shoe is on the other foot. Last night, I beat the main story of P5S.
Okay.
Now, I'm not done with the game because it's interesting. You don't get to do New Game Plus right away, but rather when you defeat the final boss, you get to make your save back before it, and then you get some additional requests you can do, some additional side quest content. And then after you clear that, you get access to New Game Plus mode after you beat the bonus boss, which is the Reaper, like he always is. And that gives you access to New Game Plus, which lets you keep all your levels, personas, party members, etc., all your upgrades, and play again, and also play at the hardest difficulty. I don't think I'm going to do that last part on Merciless, because this game was already kind of hard, but
yeah.
I got a few things to do, but I think, honestly, if you're ready to rock and roll, I'd like to hear your first impressions, because you just started playing a couple days ago first, before I kind of do my high-level review thoughts. No full spoilers. Lucky, obviously, is only just in it, so...
Lucky has some thoughts, though. I was yelling him in our mod.
Well, okay, before even then you get to your first impressions, then, I realized something the other day that I think is also the same for you. So I crunched the numbers, and approximately 30 days, 1 month is... Well, not approximately. It's exactly 720 hours. Because I thought to myself, how many hours of my life, my literal life, have I spent playing Persona games? I'm pretty sure it's close to a month, because I've clocked P3, 4, and 5 with New Game Plus each, right? I'm also, like, most of the way through a Royal run, which I will get back to soon, which is another, like, 80 or 100 hours already right now.
Yeah.
Plus, I've done other runs. Like, I didn't just beat P3 and P4 twice and then stop. I've played partway through before and all that shenanigans as well. And then you can start racking up, side games. I don't think I ever beat The Answer, but I played The Answer. I've played and beaten, all the stories for both P4 Arena games, etc. Now I've beat Strikers, so, like, I'm pretty sure I'm close to that 720, which means that there's a lot of things that happen in Strikers, which you just remarked about, which I'm like, yeah, You just see people, you see tropes, and you're just like, yeah,
Yeah, no. It's literally one of those moments, it's like, once you understand kind of what Persona usually does and have a theme, especially when they're introducing a new character, that character is usually to fit a role or a type. And if you look for the clues, they're not shy about the clues. It's only if you understand the context of the clues.
Yeah.
Like, I won't go in necessarily into what I realize. Maybe not until we're actually done with the story. Then I could be like, I was right or I was wrong.
Yeah, no, I have no comments one way or another. Other than that, in general, I think I talked about that, because you're thinking Sophie thoughts.
Yeah.
I brought this up last time that I'm like, obviously there's a thing here because her friggin' skill names all have question marks.
Right.
I'm like, I'm not dumb, Persona. You don't do anything without a reason. But yeah, so, high-level thoughts, Lucky. You've just started playing Strikers. What do you feel?
So, first off, like, what I want to, like, a lot of people saying, like, this is a Muso-style game and stuff. Honestly, I don't want to necessarily think of it as a Muso-style game. I really want to put this more on a level of, like, Kingdom Hearts. I really do.
Yeah, the combat's not quite as, having played the whole game through, the combat's not as quite as tight as KH, but yeah, it's basically an action RPG at this point.
Because here's the thing. In most Musou-style games, you just have one big field with almost infinite amounts of enemies that you can just mole on through, hitting, numbers of the thousands. With Persona 5 Strikers, instead of that, you usually have small engagements, maybe with like a few dozen at a time, and maybe you'll have like occasionally a big boy that might require some skill and strategy. But your maps aren't generally like big open spaces to let you go ham in. No, they're little tight little areas with like little neat, fun interaction things, multiple levels. You can go up and down. And all that stuff.
Like obviously compared to a core Persona RPG title, it's way, way, way more enemies. Yeah. But compared to if I pulled open Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity right now, I'm pretty sure in the tutorial's 5 seconds I killed more bokoblins than you kill shadows in the standard encounter of Persona 5. Like period. It's very different. Also, I mentioned this as well last week in something you've seen. They've done a very good job of keeping a lot of the Persona mechanics, right?
Yeah, well, I also think this is maybe to its benefit and to its detriment. Because this is like one of the other things. Combat's sometimes really fucking hard. And it's sometimes for the most inane reasons. Like...
It's I think the best way to put it, Lucky, is it's Atlas hard. The mechanics are different, but the way it's hard is the same way that Personas are hard. Oh, you fought an enemy and you don't have a resistance to this? Well, better spend like 5 items, buddy, or you're gonna die.
Yeah, like, and here's the thing, in base Persona games, usually when a enemy is about to smack you with some sort of status element thing, it's usually just one, and there'll probably be, it goes in turns. And in Strikers here, you can have like five of the same enemies all doing it back to back, and you're running around the map just going, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit. Like I've had this happen a couple times. Like my most memorable moment of this is like I'm still in the first jail, Alice's. And I remember like when Bicorns were still paying up a think of me, I was once fighting 4, and one after another they all did lunge. I'm just like run.
Smash that dodge button.
Smash that dodge button.
So I will say that is a complaint. I know it's not very common for like Musou type games, at least in my experience. God, I really wish that there was a guard.
Yes, a guard.
By the way, spoilers, there is no guard. You can do like defensive debuffs, and if your agility is raised, you get auto dodge, which is a lifesaver. When you're at higher levels, you auto dodge pretty frequently. But God, there were so many times, because they're like big area attacks, or they're attacks you have to jump over. I'm just like, instead of dodging and hoping that works, I really wish I could just like defend like you can in the RPG and just turtle for a second. But I guess that's not the style we're going for. It's a little annoying.
No.
So you do in fact bite the dust a few times.
I have bitten the dust. Like I said, I have about 7 hours in right now. I have bitten the dust quite a few times because not only are their attacks frequent, their attacks fucking hurt. Jesus. Like it's never from the small guys. It's never from the small guys, but you get 3 or 4 big guys in there and they hit you, you're just like there's a quarter of your health gone. I'm just so like
you also have no fucking money.
No. Like,
and your Personas are not good. Now, this is the beautiful thing. I will let you know, Lucky, there's light at the end of this tunnel. This is a Persona game. I finished the game. I have over 1 million yen and basically nothing to spend it on. So
that's good.
Like you will reach the point where you're like, oh shit, I have everything I ever need. But you gotta take your lumps.
I'm okay with that. It just means I get to go to Sophie's shop more often, and boy howdy, that is a treat every time I go there. I love that shop. Because here's something else, high level thoughts. What they did with the UI is fucking amazing. It really is. So
the UI design for this is great.
Like, so if everyone knows P5 and P5R, the UI design was actually really, really cool and nifty. Basically, it had Joker, just moving around a bunch of menus and stuff as this. Strikers took this up to the next level by taking this from 2D and making it 3D. And incorporating all the characters. So, actually, can I oh, I can't.
Every menu has a different Phantom Thief in it.
Yeah. And when you move...
Everybody moves around and does little animations, yeah.
Yes. But still, my favorite is Sophia's shop, where she's just this little cute thing who just moves around the screen depending on where you are, just chatting at you as little bubbles go on in the background of her just jammering at you.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
It's really good.
And so this is a thing this might be a good point to raise now. Lucky, you are playing it for the first time in Japanese. I played it the first time in English. I do want to check out the Japanese dub. Because there's lots of little things. Sophia's voice actress in JP is the same voice actress who does Benny Enma in FGO and also Klee in Genshin Impact.
Yes.
I don't... So TV Tropes didn't have a listing for her, so I don't know if her English voice actress has done a lot. But there's some stuff we'll talk about later. There's some scenes you've got to hear in English with Sophia. It's... Ooh. It's good. Like, she's really, really good. And I've already talked about this before as well. Her line delivery as Sophia for, like, some of those lines you read in the text, which you're like, okay, I'll remember that. Like, she does a pitch-perfect impression of a AI assistant. Also, you probably wouldn't have thought this because you haven't heard Emma, the navigation app, speak in English. Fucking P5S for the English dub, they got the voice actress for Siri to be Emma.
Are you serious?
I'm not joking. I looked it up the other day, and they're like, yeah. I'm like, holy shit. No, that makes sense. Yeah, so literally Emma is slightly sinister Siri. Beginning navigation. What? I knew it would happen, but I still had a gut check when that happened.
Well, yeah. Again, I guess as soon as I had a thought, you know, many things have clicked into place. I'm just like, I'm slightly vibrating over here and waiting for story. Makoto's, your ass is great. I just realized. How dare, girl?
Makoto keeps fit.
But let's see here. What was that? Yeah, so, you know, just little interesting things like the shady detective. I can't remember the voice actor's name, but he is Kojiro, Fion, and I said 3 of them the other day, and now I can't remember the fucking third one.
Leonidas, I think was
Leonidas, yes.
He has a lot of roles in FGO. Very popular.
Very popular.
He has a lot of roles, period.
And...
But no, that sounds about right. He sounds like he projects shady old guy energy.
He does. And I also mentioned this yesterday. Alice, the first major villain, I want to say, is voiced by Ayane Sakura, who also voiced Musashi and Maeve in FGO. It was a great moment, too, because I was literally playing the game in Japanese, and I hear Alice for the first time, and I just had that moment where I just, you know, slapped my bed and like, that's fucking Maeve. And so I had to quickly grab my phone and just double check. I'm just like, That's always
Emma,
a nice...
who voice acts. There's some commentary in P5S, guys. There's some social commentary. It wouldn't be Persona without it.
Yeah. But no, it's good. I honestly, I think the best way to phrase it is like, I don't feel like I've left Persona 5. I feel like I've just really merely reached the next step of what a Persona game should be. Like, if they actually went from here and said, yeah, let's just do a fucking, you know, full, like, you know, action RPG Persona, I'd be like, no, this works. They have a formula. It seems solid. It really does.
Yeah, so my high-level thoughts to kind of take that from there, that's something I definitely feel like the whole way. And I said last week, this is a true blue sequel to Persona. Now, that's to Persona 5 specifically. Now, that's not necessarily uncommon. Like I said, I played for both P4 Arena games. Those also felt like thematic sequels, but also in a lot of ways, I felt like they were bridges. They were deliberately designed to tie P4 and P3 together.
Yeah.
So they follow up on both games. They follow up on both themes. I think that they actually, like, do give you a little bit of follow-up, but as fighting games, they're much shorter time frame. Now, obviously, P5S is on a shorter time frame than a real Persona game because it's not a whole year. It's just summer vacation, which is shorter in Japan, by the way, for those who don't know. You got to get back to school. You know, you're a third-year Joker now. Think about college. But it is truly a follow-up sequel. And having finished it, and obviously, like I said, I haven't finished Royal, but I know the direction it's going because I did all the content that lets me get to the extra content. So I can sense the direction, right? What I want to say is, well, P5S doesn't directly reference Royal a lot because it was developed around the same time. I got confirmation for this. So they were in dev in similar time periods. so they couldn't really like lock anything in. It does have several thematic callbacks to Royal, as well as being, like I said, a real deal sequel to P5.
Oh, this is
like
new.
all the characters have very direct stuff. And the other thing I want to say is, you talked about like, oh, I'd play an action RPG Persona. So it's an interesting thought. Like, plot-wise, P5S isn't very bold. It doesn't really do anything new for a Persona game. It's a Persona game plot. I won't like spoil any of the details. And like character stuff, thematics, design-wise, this game is fucking amazing. It's phenomenal. It does really interesting things. It furthers characters and themes from its prior games, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's my high level. This game's great. You know? Probably like 9 out of 10. I have a couple complaints about the mechanics that I don't feel are quite as, maybe as deep as I would like. Mm-hmm. But it's still made by, you know, Koei Tecmo and stuff. So, and it's pretty good for that as well. Like, I've heard a lot of people were worried it would be a shitty Warriors port.
That's what I was. That's what I was a little bit leery about too.
No, the developers on the Koei Tecmo Team Omega Force side, like, that, you can tell they have love for Persona. And I do actually believe the dev team is that the Team Omega or whatever are actually like fans of the Persona series. So they built it with love.
Okay.
But like I said, so the plot's not really anything different, but it really feels like, from a writing standpoint, before the earthquake that delayed P5 a lot, it was going to be an action RPG.
Oh, really?
They were going to do a full transition. They decided to like go back to roots and keep it traditional. Also, it was supposed to involve a lot of globetrotting, or at least a lot of travel. Semi-spoilers, but you go on a road trip. You go on a Phantom Thief road trip after this. So, like, it feels to me like P5S in a lot of, like, plot and concept terms is not... Like, I don't really want to call it a remake or a reboot, because it continues all the character stories on from P5, but it's, like, very much a, like, here's all the ideas we didn't get to execute in P5. Let's execute them in Strikers.
I want to say, rather than that, I would call it an evolution.
Yes, but it feels like they've taken the fact that they've got a second chance to do some things and, like, directly addressed things they couldn't address in P5.
Yeah.
I've talked about this before. Holy shit, there's a lot more Haru in this game. She does stuff. Not only does she, like, talk a lot, but, like, there's a lot of direct work with her. I'm sure you've noticed, working on Jail Number 1, there's an awful lot of action from An in this first bit.
Oh, yeah.
I think I talked about that before, because I got as far as the second jail last time. That guy has a lot of parallels with Yusuke. I feel like they kind of let that slip a little in some of the later palaces. It gets a little more loosey-goosey with, like, who's parallel to what. Mm-hmm. Plus, we have to develop our new characters as well.
Well, yeah, and, like, I was actually thinking about this. It's like, I find it very interesting that in both games, our first dungeon was literally a castle.
Well, yeah, the Shibuya dungeon is also, like, Wonderland themed as well.
Yeah.
There's the fact that jails are bigger than palaces and are not quite the same. Oh, my audio recording's freaking out a little bit.
Oh no.
Okay, we had a tiny bit of lag on Audacity, but I stopped it for a second.
Oh no.
Nothing of value was lost. I think you missed a couple of luckies. Who knows? Anyway, the video version will be perfectly fine. I just had to reset the audio for a sec. Anyway, because the jails are bigger, they do some slightly different stuff, and I don't really want to spoil what some of the themes are. It definitely reminds me a little bit more of TV World Dungeons from 4, because they're even more, like, long and sprawling and do a lot of different things. And you'll probably get why jails are different. This is just something that, in general, Mona starts observing throughout this whole bit. It's like, man, jails are different.
God.
Dodge.
Sorry. Yeah, I'm not.
I don't know what you're doing with dodge. If you're not dodging, you're dying.
Well, no. I was stun locked.
Yeah, that's the thing I have a slight complaint around. Like, I've got great, like, Mario Kart twirly hands. I feel like I can twirl the stick my ass off, and it doesn't make me stop being dizzy any sooner. That's like, they've done a really good job of translating a lot of the other status effects. Like, if you've got, like, the blinded one, your screen goes kind of dark and it's hard to use stuff. If you have, like, fear, enemies auto dodge your attack so you don't do any damage. If you get rage, you just auto attack. You auto basic attack constantly. So like they've done a lot of good stuff. The stun lock stuff is just a real pain in the ass because of how you shake out of it. Similar with being frozen. That said, there's the way they kind of replaced what would normally be social link or confidant abilities with a bond system is pretty good. You earn points through story progression and doing other stuff and just fighting, and then turn that into bonuses. Like, I think at the start you have access to some of the basic stuff, like get more personas, heal better, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then eventually you get into stuff like, you know, get access to powerful counterattacks. You know, heal. I think there's like. Yeah, it's like heal SP after doing successful once more and all-out attacks kind of stuff. Like, they give you some bonus abilities to kind of balance it out. So it's got the right kind of growth for this type of hard Persona game. But overall, like I said, it feels like they took a lot of these times of things to, like, address direct things with characters as well. But eventually they do have to like build their own plot and stuff. It's very interesting. I'll be glad to hear your thoughts on story stuff overall. In general, though, I really like the story and the themes. Like I said, it plays to a lot of stuff that people think about with this kind of thing. Like, to briefly, well, probably not briefly, but to tangent a little bit, we had a discussion about the mechanics of the cognitive world the other day, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's a very interesting thing over all the modern Persona games, because those are the ones I've played, and I know that they have a semi-consistent way of handling these kinds of things, right? Like, the cognitive world exists, it's formed by the collective unconsciousness. It usually transposes the real world in some way, but obviously fucked up, because society's fucked up or something.
Mm-hmm.
Persona, guys. But how it does so is a little different every time. Like, in P3, it takes the form of the Dark Hour. The Dark Hour only exists for literally an hour. And when you're, other than Tartarus, nowhere within the Dark Hour is actually cognitively different. Like, yeah, the school becomes a massive dungeon tower that's really freaky-deaky, but everywhere else is pretty normal if paused during this time period. And...
Wait, wasn't, like, literally the fucking first part of P3 is you had some fucking train yard and shit got weird? And then you went to the school?
No, that's, like, boss number 2. Your first encounter with a shadow is on the roof of your dorm. The big boss shadows you encounter can actually, like, do stuff to the real world, but the cognition of the world doesn't change, right? None of those places are warped and fucked up like TV World dungeons or... the palaces in the metaverse are, is what I'm getting at. Mm. Shadows do some interesting stuff, and there's, like, the source of, like, apathy syndrome. And, like I said, something I wanted to say was that I think Strikers does a lot to not only thematically link to P5 and Royal, but also to do some stuff that may seem familiar as well to P3 and P4. It keeps a lot of the same themes and stuff. And I think that also makes sense. A lot of these Warriors games are usually, like, crossovers.
Yeah.
Obviously, they went for the traditional sequel example, but I could have seen them designing it to also include, like, P3 or P4 characters, and maybe some of that rubbed off on some of their scenario design. I got thoughts we'll get to when you beat the game.
Mm-hmm.
But... like, the metaphysics of the cognitive world have kind of evolved. I still don't remember, like, I think in the manga, there was a manga adaptation where they talked about, like, the Kirijo group was trying to, like, harness energy or, like, fuck with time? And that is why they broke everything and created the Dark Hour? They accidentally tapped into the collective unconsciousness and, created the pause world and spread shadows everywhere, and that allow them to discover kids who have the potential of Persona. And also dogs who have the potential of Persona.
Dogs.
And, they discovered that shadows exist and that shadows can harm people when time overlaps, so they built anti-shadow weapons and all that other stuff. But I'm still not really sure why they did that, other than just it was interesting. And in P3, only the people who have access to the Dark Hour are the people who have awakened a Persona. Or have the potential to do so. And it seems like, baby Persona users get eaten by shadows a lot or whatever. There's a lot of I think maybe loose ends in the metaphysics because P3 was kind of the first newer one and it wasn't really about some of that stuff. And P4, despite the fact that about being about the truth, the Scooby Gang and Inaba have like no possible way of unpacking the greater metaphysics of the Midnight Channel, right?
No.
They're Scooby Gang. Naoto tries to lecture them about Jungian psychology, and they have like, what? What? Yeah, so the Midnight Channel in the TV world just works. That's Shadow Inaba, but like fucked up by what everybody's, rumors and projections are, and creates these dungeons in the shadows and everything. And you had a commentary because we were talking about, like, what happens if people die in the cognitive world? Well, in P4, when you get murdered by your own shadow, or shadows in general, you get yeeted back out into space. Probably. Otherwise, that means that... Can I say the culprit's name? It's been 5 minutes. Nah, I'll skip it. The murderer has to, like, arrange them otherwise, which is weird.
Showtime. Nope, she died. Thanks.
So, like...
Seriously, I'm like, people can probably see... I'm about to die. Joker's dead.
Luckily, Continuing's got some flexibility.
Yeah, I know, but I've been in this fight for, like... Ooh, I shot lasers. I've been in this... Sophie Showtime was cute.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, no, I'm just now down to Sophie, and she has... Oh, yeah. God damn. No, literally, there's been several times in this fight where I've just taken a hit, and, like, there goes 3/4 of my health. I'm just like, why?
Yeah, that's still... That's something that never really goes away. You just get better at dodging and blowing up all the enemies before they blow you up.
I wish I had some cars in here. They've been great. Blowing up cars!
So the refreshing of various assets is weird. Like, I think what they call phantom dashables, like, return if you leave the screen, but shadows don't. Shadows don't come back unless you leave the dungeon. So it's got an interesting, like, economics. I love that you can leave jails anytime and come back for a full restore.
Yeah. Although I do say... Oh, God! I need this guy to stop vanishing and then reappearing and immediately attacking. Actually,
some of the ways they handle some of the attack animations are a little annoying. Like, enemies have basic attack strings, and then they have, like you mentioned earlier, bicorns can lunge, so they basically charge attack. But yeah. There are a lot of enemies who, like, their attack string is like, I'll do a big attack. That means I'll jump up into the air and then land and smash down. It's a little annoying. Like I said, there's a couple of things which don't translate perfectly. Cars, spinnables, stuff like that's pretty useful. When you get access to decent Persona skills, you just start... Like, when I got later in the game, I started just doing my basic attack strings because you get Persona attacks out of those anyway. But early on in the game, there's a lot of holding down the R1 button and being like, you, do a thing, please. But, yeah. The thing with that I always thought was interesting about the metaverse is that they firmly establish in the story of P5, cognitive science, with a PSI, is a thing.
Yes.
There are multiple people studying this idea of, like, accessing the collective unconsciousness and doing stuff to people's cognition. Some people do bad stuff, some people do good stuff. Obviously, when we get to P5S, somebody is still doing stuff because you guys open up, like I said, the Persona version of Siri, and she accidentally meta-navs you, and stuff happens, and there's a fucking system in place, which is weird. Don't worry, that gets solved later. We'll figure it out.
Okay, I did it. Sophie MVP.
Yeah, Sophie. Well, I mean, Sophie's one of your... Sophie has an interesting role in the great Persona makeup because she's bless skills and... heal. Mm-hmm. A great niche for a Persona friend.
Mm-hmm.
Especially since you get her early.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, there's some interesting stuff there. I know they said they don't have any DLC plans. I do hope they do actually go back and this game is successful enough, especially now that it's out in the West, that they consider maybe some DLC packages with some DLC guys. You know, just get some DLC fighters in here. I'd love to see what they do with Akechi and Kasumi. We could do some things. That or actually do, like I said, like do the guest fighters from like P3 or P4. That could also be pretty funny.
Yeah, just DLC characters.
Yeah, I believe it was said because that's flack that both Atlas and Koei Tecmo have gotten, that they're like they don't have any big plans for DLC. I do actually hope though that they do, because this game like plays really different, and I could actually see myself paying like $10 for a character pack with a couple of characters in it. I believe the only real DLC is you can get different music tracks. We'll talk about the music in a second, I think.
Probably, yeah.
But yeah, so this is, like I said, P5S addresses the cognitive science thing, I think, by just being like, yeah, so you guys didn't really do anything about the fact that the genie's out of the bottle, right? Like, the Phantom Thieves saved the world, but they're still kids, so they can't really do anything about the fact that this technology exists. And I gotta say, that is something I do kind of feel like, theme-wise, I wish the game did a little bit better at, which is... So the characters are very comfortable, right? Like you know them very well. They're hanging out. They have very good dialogue with each other. Lots of relationship building. Everybody fits in pretty good. And I think there's some new developments and there's some new things to be had, but a lot of the characters, it's more about like foils, right? Like it's more about showing their characters in different light as they relate to different people than necessarily full-blown character growth.
Yeah.
The game kind of implies that you've already done their confidants, so their character growth is, kind of mostly through. This does mean that I feel like they sometimes in the writing, like, forget maybe some of the bigger things here. Like it's almost never made of a big deal of the fact that Haru is still the heir to a giant fucking food and drink company. Like, she should be fucking famous. She does make sure to note that, like, as you guys travel around, she's, like, visiting local Big Bang Burger franchises and stuff, right?
Yeah.
But very rarely is it actually important or anything come of the fact that she's kind of a big deal.
Well,
similarly...
actually, on that point, before you move on, I do want to say, like, honestly, even though you feel like it should be a point, it was never a point. It was never even a point in... P5 original, because literally she's Haru, the heiress, still going to a normal-ass high school with a bunch of other scrub lords and whatnot.
True, though it is an urban Tokyo high school. But yeah, I'm just saying that it's enough where they like mention it a little bit, but then they don't go that extra mile, and I'm like, this is a little weird. I feel like since you brought it up, like they occasionally remind you it's a fact, but they don't do anything with it. I'm just like, that's a little weird. Same with I actually feel this way about how Futaba is handled. There's a couple of times where in like boss fights or ancillary dialogue, she yells about her mom's research. But for the most part, Futaba doesn't really comment on the fact that somebody is probably using Wakaba's ideas for evil again.
Yeah, I think that's more of a full
she's just kind of... You haven't got that far yet. Boss battles are very yelly. They're very full of characters in the background yelling dialogue in very typical, I think, Muso-type fashion. People will just yell stuff.
That's cool.
So, you may have to pay attention. Futaba, like I said, will occasionally yell about her mother's research and stuff like that. But in story, she doesn't really make a big deal out of it, even though she's still your tech support. Like, she's constantly doing hacking and examining AIs and all that kinds of stuff. But I feel like, I don't know, she should acknowledge it more.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, even then, like, so there's a lot of these little moments where, characters just don't mention... Actually, I just realized, I was thinking about this. I don't think Ryuji mentions Traka, like hardly at all.
Well, I think...
Isn't that part of his... That's part of his confidant is kind of getting over that and, like... He's in his own space now. His leg seems better. Like, nothing's ever made up about his injury, which is cool, but it's...
Go
ahead.
So, I think there might be two reasons, maybe, for some of this stuff. So, for one, they might want to have made... Like, for one, they might have gone with the assumption that people have... played Persona 5 or Royal and already got all the exposition they need and whatnot out of that backstory. and therefore then feel like they need to just necessarily hammer it in the story.
Yeah.
Story. But also, this could also go the opposite way of there may be also considering people who may have never played Persona 5 and may not understand all those such references and whatnot.
That is true. I would have to wonder when in the development process they decided they were going to be available on PC and Switch, where Persona 5 is not. It's entirely possible that people are getting into the franchise for the first time.
And that's the kind of balancing act that they have to do. It's like, we want to make sure that we leave enough hooks to the previous game so people who have played it do know like this is a thing, but also we don't want to dump enough information on them that people who are new to the game will necessarily feel lost about what has happened.
Sure, and it's very streamlined. Like I said, it's just that they have a couple of these very subtle nods, but they're also very passing, and I'm just kind of like, I feel like it would be more natural to your writing if you commented on this a little bit more, but like I said, I think it still serves the purpose of, in terms of the writing, they do a very good job of, nah, these are the Phantom Thieves, they're all friends now, we're all tight, we're all just, like, the story starts with you just like, Joker's summer vacation, he's going back to Tokyo, he's gonna crash at LeBlanc, we're gonna have fucking fun time with our friends, we're gonna see everybody again, it's great. Oh shit, here we go, Phantom Thief again.
It's like, I didn't even get to go camping. I'm a little upset.
So, yeah. I like that, and this is another one of those things that I think is like, the writing team was like, let's make sure we paint this up, because that is something that I feel like you can do in P5, but is not universal. As Joker, you can just keep your head down and do other stuff. You don't have to hang out with your friends, your Phantom Thief buddies. Their relationships can seem a little bit more like almost professional, even though they're all dumb, stupid kids.
Yeah, I'm not gonna expect dumb, stupid kids to remain professional.
But they do actually they do go the extra mile, I think, in 5S overall in terms of their writing to be like, now these guys are just hanging out, you know. And they play up all the classic themes. Like on the one hand, yeah, it's a joke. I quoted a bit of dialogue later, which was from later in the game, which was, what was it? Can I even find it in games? Probably not. But yeah, okay, yeah, I found it. I did find it. I had to Control F. Where at one point later in the game, Makoto just says, "We've done nothing but eat since we got to Osaka." And she's not wrong, because basically every time the game needs an excuse for you to move on time-wise, it shifts to night after a long, hard day of jailbreaking, and then suddenly somebody, usually Ryuji or Yusuke, is hungry, and we eat.
Yeah,
we eat food.
No, I can attest to this. Hecking, first official time coming out of the jail. It's nighttime, and Yusuke's just like, I'm famished. Then Ryuji is all like, man, are you serious? And then you hear a stomach growling. I'm like, this is a mood.
Yeah, so on the one hand, they're late teens, but they're still teenagers. It definitely feels very, teenage road trip business, where it's like, of fucking course, and as a guy who's gone on road trips, family road trips, obviously, but I've done the road tripping stuff, which is an element later. No, that is absolutely a thing where it's like, shit, what time is it? Are we all hungry? All right, time to stop for food somewhere. It's part of your schedule. When you have a place you're aiming to go, the only thing you stop for is, bathroom break, food, do we need to stretch our legs? All right, how long have we been going? Have we been going for 10 hours today? And we're not at our destination. It's time to pull in somewhere and, sleep the night. It becomes a very constant trope and a cycle of well, here's one, this is how they decided their story beats, obviously, but also it feels very natural to just be like, yeah, no, we're still on summer vacation. Obviously, we're doing Phantom Thief things, but we're still taking a break, Makoto and Haru are first year college. Everybody else is well, not everybody else. Futaba's
second year.
Yeah, she'd be second year. This is something I do actually appreciate that they do occasionally mention, is that I'm actually quite surprised that Futaba's going back to school, but I guess I would be asking a lot of old man Sojiro to homeschooler still. And to be fair, Futaba wants to challenge herself as well. So, but yeah, so Futaba's second year now. She's going back to school.
Futaba won't be going to school to learn. She's going there for the social experience. Futaba don't need to go learn shit.
No, as a super genius hacker, no, probably not. Her job line is set. And yeah, so that's, but it's part of her, you know, challenging herself, growing, getting out of her recluseness. That is a thing that they do actually bring up a couple of times, and they do. That's, you know, that's a positive character note with Futaba, where they're like, you guys like see a massive crowd of people, and somebody will just be like, "Hey, Futaba, you all right?" And she's like, "I'm fine. It's great. We're okay."
Or the other time she's just mad stuttering.
And sometimes she's not okay. They remember that Makoto doesn't do well with ghosts.
Yep.
And Futaba does very well with ghosts. Constantly. It's Futaba. I can't tell if she's just being a gremlin or she genuinely doesn't pick up on the fact that Makoto is actually afraid of ghosts. Like, I could see Futaba's worldview not putting that Queen is afraid of anything, right?
Oh, yeah. Listen.
So, go ahead.
Like, they kind of do it subtly, but Makoto is running around in fucking biker leathers. She's about to kick some ass.
Yeah, no. And when you're introduced to Zenkichi, before he steps in, I'm pretty sure Makoto would have kicked that guy's ass.
Oh, yeah. Also, Zenkichi is making me crack up so much.
Zenkichi's great. No, he's... The new characters are great. That's a thing you got to be worried about, but they slot in perfectly. They're really good. Like, Sophie, obviously, you get her right, like, as a party member, she comes in right away.
Mm-hmm.
And she's a big deal to the story throughout. But, like, Zenkichi also shows up in the prologue, and he starts hanging out with you and talking, and you're like, can I trust this shifty old man?
Like, probably not, but he makes me laugh.
No, but he's great. He fits a role in the group that's very positive, I think. He reminds me of your good old Uncle Dojima. You know, he's a... You can't trust him 100%, but he's a positive, you know, adult role model, which is good because we don't have a lot of those in Persona.
Yeah, this is the one thing that I think is slightly bugged. Like, you know, talking about, like, all characters, like, as someone who did play from it, I am kind of sad that I don't get to see, you know, all my other confidants, specifically, you know, the adults. Like, you mentioned this the other day, like, fucking, Tai is gone, fucking... I can't remember the Airsoft games now, but he's gone too. I'm just all like,
yeah, the Airsoft shop is closed. Yeah, and I don't think this is a spoiler. Also, I think our audio might be doing a little loops. Why does it only do this when we do What's Up?
I don't know.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, I don't think this is a spoiler because it's like one of those negative space things. Yeah, you don't really see any of your old non-Phantom Thief confidants in the game, other than Sojiro, for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
Like, it's sad, but it makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Like, why the fuck would you run into Kawakami? It's fucking summer vacation, and you don't go to Shujin anymore, you know?
Yeah.
I would have loved, though, if there was a cameo when we have the Arbitrary Beach episode, because it's summer. It would have been great if she's just out there fishing, but whatever. You know, like, the game literally is like, oh, Dr. Takemi's away doing a fucking symposium or something. Oi's closed the shop for a while, you know? You don't have enough time before the plot starts for you to go around Tokyo and check in with a couple of those people. It's a very Phantom Thieves focused story.
Mm-hmm.
To like you said earlier with some other stuff, to its positives and to its detriments.
Yeah.
Like, that's gonna be one of those things where like you said, if you're an old hat at Persona 5, you're gonna miss those characters. You're gonna feel slightly disappointed when you go to the clinic and, like, she's gone and you're like, oh, I just wanted to say hi and maybe buy some super medicine.
Mm-hmm.
Drugs.
But
also, it does go back to that thing you said earlier where, I guess, if you've never played P5 and you don't know who these characters are, it kind of saves them, the developers and the players' brain space of, like, we don't need to, like, give these characters models and cut-ins in our new engine if they're just gonna, like, show up for a cameo, you know?
Yeah.
Persona being a series notoriously known for, like, geez, does this character have a fucking portrait and a unique model? They must be important. That happens in every Persona game. You run into some guy and you're like, why does this guy have a model? Clearly he's important.
But yeah, this game definitely got a glow up. When I'm playing this, I'm playing at 60 FPS, and I'm just like, what is this? Because, to be fair, I don't think they necessarily rebuilt the models, per se. I still think they used the models, just put different assets on them, and then made them high def.
Yeah, they probably improved their textures, and... Well, they would have had to redo the rigging, but probably the base models are the same. Yeah.
Yeah. Because I can tell you right now, a lot of the backgrounds and locations for like, well, I can say in this beginning are the same. They cut some parts. They cut some parts.
They're high def, but they're the same structures.
Yeah, they cut out a lot of parts though. Like I said, I'm not on the road tripping part, so I haven't got to see all new stuff yet.
Yeah, I think their reason for that is just because it is meant to be a summer road trip. Like, you get to go to a couple neighborhoods in Tokyo, but then you're gonna leave to go to other places. I won't list them all, but there's a lot of references. Also, Jail 2 is deliberately built to be built upon references, but can't wait to hear your reaction to that guy.
I'm gonna do some grinding.
But no, like overall, the game I think does really good at a lot of things. There's some stuff where I'm like, that's not perfect, but it's still a really good package enough for me to go, nah, this is really good. Like I said, it does all the characters justice. I think it does really good with all the new characters, and in general, we'll probably talk about this more, but I think I really like how it handles jails and monarchs. You've already seen this somewhat with Alice, and kind of like how you're like, is she really super bad? But also, didn't she say stuff, you know? Because An's like, oh, I used to like her. I thought she was cool. You know, this is something you talked about actually in regards to. I remember you said this in regards to late game Royal. Who thought that the game should like acknowledge kind of like how our villains got to be this way a little bit more.
Yes.
Watching my audio waves freak out a little bit in Discord.
Yeah, you cut off for me, sorry. But I was able to infer what you were talking about.
Yeah, we got there. But this is definitely a game that like addresses that more and has slightly different mechanics. I think from completing, well, I can say I completed base P5 because I got all those characters, and then looking now at P5S, I think the idea is that to manifest a palace, your worldview has to be so monumentally fucked up. Like, even the quote-unquote one good person with a palace, right, Sae, even if she's still a good person at heart, her worldview's become really, really fucked up.
Yeah.
Whereas the kind of the idea with jails, and I don't want to, like, this is something that will be fully explored throughout the game, so I don't want to give anything away before it's time. But the thing with the monarchs of the jails is definitely there's a lot more look at, like, how did they get to this point? Why are they like this? And, you know, are they villains we have to defeat, or are they just people who, like, we got to stop them because they're doing bad things, but they're not fundamentally bad people?
Yeah.
And honestly, I think, well, now that I'm thinking about it, they definitely could have done something, because, Lucky, have you been raiding any prison keeps for power cores yet?
Yeah, I've gone through 3.
Okay, all right. Good, that's pretty far. Yeah, so that's a very Dynasty Warriors type thing, right? Where you're like, we have to go to, like, camps and defeat certain people so we get things so we can progress.
Yeah, no, like, right now, like, I can send the calling card for Alice. I'm grinding. I'm grinding for reasons.
Yeah, you probably want to grind a little bit. You got a boss fight coming up. But, yeah, so, I was kind of struck how that's similar to the idea behind the seeds in P5R, but they do way more characterization stuff with the cores than they do with the seeds, and I'm like, that is a little bit of a misstep. I feel like they could have actually done something, especially if these games were in development that closely together, that, like, somebody from Royal could have, like, leaned over to Strikers and been like, oh, hey, that's neat. But at the same time, I also it feels like the point with the writing of the two different games is that, for the most part, the baddies in P5 are, like, really bad. They have reached a point of no return in their lives, except for, like, literally Sae, and that's the whole point of her character in terms of being a palace boss. Where, like, There's really nothing you can do by the time we meet Kamoshida in the story where he can turn his life around. The only thing he can do is suck it up and go to jail. Whereas the Monarchs and the whole stealing desires thing, super fucked up, very recent, very new. I think in the intro police briefing, they talk about the heart-changing epidemic's only been going on for like a couple months, I think?
Yeah.
So I feel like the idea with the way P5S is structured is these peoples are not past the point where maybe we could, you know, have them not be horrible people?
I don't know, because,
it's
like...
an interesting contrast. Well, if you look on the calling card, you will have seen... they don't call it this yet, but you will have seen Alice's trauma cell, right?
Yeah.
Like,
well, like, well, like, here's the thing. You say, like, not point return, but then I have to ask, like, what is that point? Because talking about Alice, like... Apparently, like, she's caused bodily harm to people. Her stealing desires has caused people to break their relations, embarrass themselves in public, spends ridiculous amount of money going on to, you know, loan shark. There are probably people's lives who are irrecoverably fucked up because of her stealing desires. So, I don't know necessarily, like...
Yes, but also, it's one of those weird things where does Alice really realize that... Well, okay, she realizes some of that is happening, but...
I'm about to say...
In the real world, Alice doesn't necessarily seem to understand how weird and fucked up this mechanic is with desires. Just she adds them on Emma, and she's like, cool, they're on my side now. They're going to buy all my shit, and they're going to ignore, and I get to do... get a revenge. And...
I guess that is true.
Alice is doing bad things, and she must be stopped. This is the Phantom Thieves have to universally decide on a target. So they have this discussion of like, okay, Alice has been through some shit. Some bad stuff has happened to her. But is she really bad? And they're like... And, again, Persona. They go through this every fucking time. Every fucking jail. They're like, but should we really fight this person? Like, somebody always goes, okay, but... And then usually Mona or you as Joker can be like, okay, but they're doing bad. You know? And honestly, this is the kind of thing where it, like... I don't want to say it straight up escalates, but they definitely keep playing more and more into how these characters can be sympathetic.
Oh,
like...
I do love that kind of
as we go on and you meet new monarchs.
I do enjoy
so
it.
I think we'll come back to this point later once you've beaten the game.
Yeah.
But
well,
it definitely, like, I think it will maybe scratch that itch you're talking about where I agree that base P5 didn't really add a lot of super depth to those the characters as villains. Like, they were serious threats, they were big deals. They had some level of, like, excuse as to why they were enabled by society to become corrupt, but they were still corrupt adults who were fucking with the system.
Yeah, because if I remember specifically Kamoshida's case, it's because he was something fast, people put all this unnecessary expectation on him, and so he started finding ways to, what's the best way to say that, relieve his stress, which...
It started as a simple, like, outlet for, like, God, there's a lot of pressure on me, and then it became, God, there's a lot of pressure on me, but also people give me whatever I want, so...
Yeah.
He has a really fucked up worldview.
Yeah.
Actually, to circle back to a point, I think that's kind of the dividing factor, is that while Alice's, like, weird Wonderland castle setup is weird, it's not, like, mentally super fucked up. Like, yes, she has a power that she is abusing, but her thoughts and feelings have a direct connection to bad stuff that happened to her, and in general, like, she's not committed to a point where I think her, like, obviously she hasn't formed a palace. The jails are different. They call them different. Mona will observe how things are different, you know, the birdcage, the desires, the trauma cell, stuff like that. Like, the mechanics are different, and I think it plays into some of the ideas that they're like, kind of doing different things, and they're not necessarily like, oh, you know, it was bad how we did blah, blah, blah in P5, but they're like, okay, we heard you guys talked about how there was some some stuff that like you're curious about. Well, what if what if the people weren't all bad, or like what if is what the Phantom Thieves doing really right? This is something that's interesting to me that I thought about. I believe in both the original intention and if you think about the themes, because they talk about how the Phantom Thieves are picaresque, big theme. I feel like the writing of both Persona 5 games, and I'll count Royal the same in there, because at least as far as I've gotten, they do this as well, but I expect that's not going to change for the bonus content. I feel like the Phantom Thieves are supposed to be like you're supposed to question, are they truly good? Like, is what they're doing good for society or good for themselves or whatever? I feel like that's a direction the writing is trying to go. At the same time, at almost no point have I ever actually questioned, are the Phantom Thieves good people? Is what they're doing right,
Well, that's also partly, I don't even know if there's actually a term for this, so I'll call it a protagonist fallacy almost. Usually when one when especially in an interactive media like this, when one is playing a character, usually you assume you are in the right. Fuck, Shadow of Colossus kind of played with this a lot. Because like
sure what having played Shadow and stuff, I'm not even. Shadow's got like such a thin story that it's definitely kind of like, I don't even know what the intention was. Does the character even know what he's doing will be really weird and fucked up in the end?
Yeah, I know, but that's why I'm saying they played with it, because usually when you start a game and you're going around beating up, you usually assume that you're the good guy. You're doing this for a good reason. Otherwise, you're just the fucking, a crook and a criminal. Like, shoot, even the Grand Theft Auto games, usually you play an underdog who's trying to get back at some bigger bad villain than whatever, low-lying gang member that you are. So I think it's maybe, I don't know if the word I want to use the word conceit, but I think it's a conceit usually on the players, that they will usually automatically assume that whatever character they are controlling is good and just. Therefore, whatever they're making them do is good and just.
Sure, and there's definitely a trope name for that I don't know the name.
Yeah, I can't think.
But even thinking on a more critical level, I'm like, people are like, are we doing the right thing? I'm like, I flash back to like the setup where like Joker's awakening and flashbacks and stuff is like, nah, he was just trying to do a chick a solid and he got like super punished for it, and then like he just started school trying to keep his head down and he ran into a horrifically abusive adult again. Like, the way the game pitches itself originally is that, yeah, no, of course they're like, obviously there's a supernatural element, and there's the question of like, what are we actually going to do about Kamoshida's shadow? Like, we don't want to just ice him because that'll cause him to have a mental shutdown, kind of a thing. But it feels very much like they're in the moral right because Kamoshida is so very wrong, and that kind of keeps going. There are definitely moments later when you guys start to get manipulated by the conspiracy and you kind of get swept up in the whole thing where, yes, the Phantom Thieves do start doing some things that are more questionable. The Okamura job is a big turning point there deliberately. Even said, though, like when you guys have that come to Jesus meeting after that, when Haru's dad does die, even then you're still like, okay, so we were manipulated to do this, but also it was for lack of a better term, it was a clean shoot on our part because we met Haru and we realized she was in a really fucked up situation that was really bad.
Yeah.
But there are also moments like, obviously, this is one of the bad ends in the game, is you can take Yellerberg deal and become bad Phantom Thieves. Like, it is possible, but it's definitely something I feel like they did such a good job at making most of the guys who have palaces such utter scumbags, right?
Well, it makes what you're doing look, good by comparison, because again, I do want to point to that because you've been going for a minute, but the way that you do this is you literally go inside them, do something, and makes them basically have a complete and utter mental change, which can almost be akin to brainwashing. Now, if you were to do that to just any other normal person, they would actually say, no, you're bad, what the fuck you're doing. This only slides in the game is because, A, these people are complete and other irrehensible scumbags, and 2, usually they've done something to you, the protagonist, that if you don't solve this problem, something bad and irreversible is going to happen to you.
Yeah, because clocks are an important feature of Persona games.
So, like I said, it's like I was trying to think of the proper term of it here, because, like, interesting enough, there's been like, well, I guess this is maybe a commentary maybe on maybe Japanese society and whatnot, but at no point in that game, like base Persona, can you go to an adult for help. You just can't. Like,
no.
And that is something that's a crying shame, because that's a lot of, like, if they had people who maybe believed them, maybe that shit would have turned out. Like, why wouldn't someone believe them about Kamoshida doing abuse? Because why wouldn't people believe Yusuke that maybe his master is stealing, you know, his art and all that stuff? Like, why don't these adults believe these kids about this stuff? And it's just like, yeah, and because these kids don't have an adult to turn to, they have to basically turn to whatever method they had available to solve the problem, which was brainwashing.
And that is definitely, that is, like, you could say, I don't know if I want to, no, that's definitely a dig on Japanese society.
Yeah.
That is, Japanese society has a problem with structural abuse and corruption because they have a hard baked in reverence for age and seniority, basically, which means that they have a lot of these types of problems that don't get addressed, because if some 17-year-old kid is like, yo, this guy's caught in trouble in my neighborhood, and that guy's like a 40-year-old respected politician, they're like, we can't possibly shame this politician in public by making this a big deal. We can't possibly. Like, when you ask the question, obviously rhetorical, but when you ask the question, well, why can't the kids just do something about Kamoshida? Because Kamoshida brings a lot of money to their school, and he's an Olympic medalist and all this other stuff, and it's like, oh, they would just, like, laugh it off, or they'd make it go away.
Yep.
And that's the sad, fucked up part. But that's the thing I'm talking about with, like, I feel like Strikers is deliberately written to, like, actually go into question. And you'll see this more when you actually do the boss confrontation. There's a lot more time and effort put into kind of, like, are we able to work things out? Do our viewpoints conflict? If you won't back down, we do have to fight to stop you, kind of thing. But they definitely put a lot more effort into actually, like, analyzing the problem of dealing with these people and not making it seem quite so brainwashy. Because even then, like, yeah, changing the heart is kind of a brainwashing thing. You steal the treasure, which causes their distorted desires and their distorted mentality to collapse. You basically find the root of their fucked up worldview and remove it.
Actually, I guess I would call actually, now that I think about it, I think I would call it brute force therapy.
Yeah, no, it is, because I was going to mention that it's related to therapy, and obviously that's a big thing they bring back for Royal. Because that's one of our bonus special characters. Definitely not doing a plot thing. Listen, I got that motherfucker to 10. I know what's up. That's a shifty-ass son. Anyway, that son is sus. But I think I said that when they started doing previews for P5R as well. I'm like, this is the shiftiest fucking son I've ever seen. Anyway, but, like, yeah, it is kind of a brute force therapy. It basically is a, like, they literally shatter, because they destroy the palace. They shatter the ruler's twisted worldview so that they suddenly get a big fucking cup of perspective.
Mm-hmm.
And when humans have perspective, they're like, to go back to our Kamoshida example, he basically goes, ah, shit, I've really fucked up.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, I'll do it. I must confess. But also, I wonder if there's also something to be said, because Core P5 is, as we say, an unjust game. It's rigged from the start. I also do wonder if maybe that's part of the deliberate construction, because Not Igor is pushing you in a certain direction constantly, like, yes, your rehabilitation is at hand, blah, 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 society, great calamity, blah, blah, blah.
Well, I don't think the game was rigged at the start, because basically,
Kamoshida is a straight up inciting incident of, like, shit, what are we gonna do? But yeah, continue. But
because not Igor, I guess is the best way to say it, basically put two pawns on a table, let them go, and said, all right, I'm gonna see what happens.
And that's also usually how Persona goes. That's another thing that Persona is good about, is usually there's more than one chosen one.
Mm-hmm.
you just happen to be following the one who's good? Question mark? We'll put it in question marks for us.
I will say, because there's a term. I want to say it's like I was a reasonable man until you forced me to take unreasonable measures. Because, like, here's the thing. Like I said, we're talking about, like, again, it's like Joker, like, I don't know if I'll necessarily call them a good person. Like I said, like...
Joker seems like a normal kid.
Yeah.
But he does what a normal youth in our society, raised in our societal values, should do when he sees something. When he sees somebody causing trouble in his neighborhood.
Yeah. He's like, hey, please leave this woman alone.
And that kind of gives him that spark of rebellion. Because that is the thing that is still key to the Phantom Thieves specifically, is to awaken their personas, they have to realize that their world is fucked up and want to face it, basically.
Why was there no Spartacus persona? I'm upset.
Yeah, he's interesting. I don't know if that's a typical classic SMT.
It's not, but like I said, that's the thing about SMT is they have their core and then they pull out your main personas out of fucking nowhere almost.
Yeah, occasionally I know they do reuse them, but it's they have themes.
Yeah.
Like, everybody has themes, but they do different things. Like, for instance, P4, everybody's classical Japanese mythology.
Yep.
For reasons. P3 is all baseline, very strong in classic Greek mythology.
Yep.
I think that's mostly just so they can do the fucking Orpheus Tartarus thing. Thanatos thing, right? Like, well, and they call it Tartarus, I guess. So they're drawing themes. But P5, I think, is their best theming, where they're like, picaresque novel characters, anti-heroes. You know, and fuck it, not even anti-heroes. Like, I'm pretty sure in most readings of the Three Musketeers, Milady de Winter is straight up a bad guy. Like, that's something that like, Cardinal Richelieu is not as much of a bad guy as you'd think, like, watching a Three Musketeers movie. Like, Milady de Winter is a straight up antagonist, I believe, most of the time.
Yeah, she's a manipulative, noble woman. A lot of getting her way through bad shit. But
yeah, so they do some really great theming with everything. So yeah, but it's still, like I said, my point earlier, because we've been talking through a lot of our own thoughts on stuff.
Yep.
Was that I definitely feel like this is one of those things where they heard people be like, they raise questions of like, okay, isn't this just brainwashing? And obviously that is what is happening with monarchs, right? Monarchs are using the cognitive world to straight up brainwash people.
Yes.
When your desires get stolen, they become the desires of the monarch, which means you are a real zombie. Like that. Like that kind of zombo.
No, I just got I got double sleeped.
Yeah. I know, but it was a very funny moment to pick. But also, like, they definitely address with how they handle the characterization of monarchs and how the Phantom Thieves think about them and interact with them in terms of, like, actually, like, asking some of these questions and answering them. And I don't think that necessarily what P5 was going for is wrong, because P5 is, honestly, it's quite a dark game. Both it and even, I think, some of the new content in Royal is still stays pretty dark and hard-hitting.
I think very intentional. Royal, once you get the new stuff, it gets real dark. It gets real dark and, I mean, like I said, to be fair, P5 starts dark. Like, if you fuck up the first ending flag, Joker straight up gets capped. Like, there's a lot of real serious shit going on in P5. It's a very dark take on a lot of stuff. And I'm just saying, yeah, Royal keeps going on, which is good to know. But I also think, too, there are also fair questions to be asked where it's like, because that is, obviously, if you beat P5, and even if you beat P5 Royal, you've resolved this situation, ideally. You and your friends get to go about your business and go back to your regular lives. So, I think it's good that, like, S does actually be like, okay, well, so we're past that great trial and tribulation, so we can actually kind of ask some of these questions, because ideally you're supposed to have improved things, you know? Well, I also do find it... It's funny, but also a little redundant how Lavenza constantly name checks the fact that your trial is eerily similar to the last thing you did, and she's really sorry about it. I'm so sorry.
Yo, Trickster, I'm so sorry you're in this fucking cell again, dude. I wish I could help you, but, like, I'm the only one here. Igor went out for coffee, and he hasn't been back. I can't even call my crazy sisters. Like, shit's fucked, dude. And as Joker, I'm always just like, no problem. It's
no
cool.
problem. You're
I
cute. I demand to give you head pets. But
she's like, will you be prepared to face this challenge? It'll be horrible. You'll probably die. I'm like, yeah, no problem.
I've done this before.
Crack knucks.
But something else I was gonna mention though is like, I think one of the most telling signs of whether someone or not is a good person is when they basically actually genuinely question whether or not their actions are good and just. Because there's something.
Oh yeah, you don't know how right that is. There's some. Remember those thoughts when you meet some later characters you're gonna run into.
Yeah.
But no, I think you're absolutely right. Part of why the Phantom Thieves are good people is because even when dealing with some of the most wacky, fucked up shit, they always take a second to be like, wait a minute, are we doing the right thing right now?
Yeah.
I guess.
Like I said, like
a big watchword of P5S specifically is choice.
That might also play into some other things now I'm thinking about it.
We're gonna have a great conversation probably next week when you're done, because I honestly don't think the game's that long.
What's your total time? Do you know?
Let me pop it open and see if I can make a shitload of. Go back.
Because as I said, I'm spending some time grinding, but hopefully.
Well, and I did too. Like I obviously I did the whole like doing all extra bonus requests. Let's see.
Actually, speaking.
I think the easiest way without waiting for P5S to boot up would to like check on how old my save file is.
Wait, wasn't I looking for a treasure chest? Yeah, it was. It's up north. That's why. Can I jump over this? I can. Fuck you, gate.
All right, you guys may hear P5S's music in the background.
I mean, they're already hearing P5S music in the background.
I know, they're already, but yeah. So if you hear some weird echoes, no, actually, I will be getting back to Rodeo. Not right away though. Like I said, I want to unlock the New Game Plus option by doing some of the extra stuff you can do in Strikers. But no, now that I'm here, I'm like, I really do need to go back. And it's been long enough that I'm not gonna feel super burned out because like. I really tried to soldier the fuck on through Royal, but it really caught up with me spending another 100 hours in the start of that game again, basically.
How did I do it? I fucking don't know.
I think you just used your incredible lucky endurance powers.
That's probably it.
You were just like, fuck it, I'm doing it. Okay, yeah, so this is great. I am at 39 and a half hours.
Okay, wow.
So yeah, I would say it's a 30 to 40 hour game. And obviously, like, I spent a decent time. I talked about this on Let's Talk FGO yesterday, where I was like, yeah, no, I didn't play a lot of FGO. I blasted a lot of Persona 5 instead. You know, I was up until, like, 4 a.m. last night beating it, because when, you start the final one, when you send the final calling card, you just got to see it through. When the sick, nasty beats start.
Can we talk about these sick, nasty beats?
Yeah, we can. That was my segue. The beats, they're great.
Oh my god. Like, there's remixes of old tracks, there's just brand new tracks. I'm just like, and some of the tracks are just, they just bring them back. Mm-hmm. Oh, man.
Yes, they do. To do things in reverse order, they do great things with thematically reusing the music, just the straight up music from P5. Like, when you go to Young Jaya, it plays the song, and it has all the perfect beats using the vanilla music. But also, there's some very new, funky, fresh takes on stuff. The I guess higher tempo, like the more action-y version of Last Surprise is very good.
God, it's so good. I love it. I need it.
I've talked about how I think the way, because Rivers in a Desert is a remix in this game, and the way they use it the first time is fucking phenomenal. Like when you hear the guitar hit for the first time, I'm like, wait a minute, no, you can't possibly, and then it repeats, and you're like, oh my god, you are doing the intro to Rivers in the Desert. But But also, as you said, there's some fucking phenomenal brand new music in this too. Oh boy.
Like, oh god, like the metaverse theme, it's just good. It's just fucking good. Alice's...
Yeah, I realized that was something that like Mementos has a theme, obviously.
Oh yeah.
Though Mementos' theme is inherently very subtle and like weird.
Oh yeah.
Because it's got that kind of like discord in it. But Welcome to Jail, I think it's called, which I've been raving about for like a week, and I'm glad you also enjoy it, Lucky. It's basically the P5S version of Backside of the TV. It's the generic jail theme, and it's great because you feel it.
Yeah, because the way that the game is not every area is part of the jail. So sometimes, like, because I'm pretty into fucking Alice's thing too. It starts off with that kind of like Wonderland, but gets a little more like electronica in there. I'm just like, no, this is pretty good.
Yeah, she's got a core dungeon theme. Everybody else does, but we've also got a just generic when we first show up to jail theme. Because that's one thing I will definitely say that they do overall with themes is when you first sense a jail and go to it, you don't know what it's like. Like, it's not like the palaces where the moment you figure out somebody's palace, you roll up to their front door and you're like, wow, this is a really fucked up castle, or this is a horrifying art museum. You're like, okay, what are we dealing with? We know we've got some desires. We got a jail here. What are we doing? And then you're like, Wonderland, cool. And like I said, I don't want to spoil some of the themes of the other jail. Well, I was a little worried they'd retread ground, but I don't think they do. It's very good with a lot of the design. At least they don't retread ground in P5 anymore.
Yeah.
But no, like all I already gotta go ahead and find the standalone soundtrack down because it's got some really good pieces, like we said, remixes and stuff. They also did a really interesting thing. I think this is the first time for Persona. They had the singer Lynn record a straight-up English voice version of the ending theme. Like, usually when you play a Persona game and you get to the end credits, they still use the Japanese version. Now, I had a translated English version as well. So, like, the English dub as well has done some of those extra miles.
No, I know Lynn sings in the... Well, I take that back. She sung in English for the Persona animation, Persona 5 animation. She didn't.
Yeah.
But yeah, not for the game. I don't believe.
No. The game ends with when I played it because I had the English dialogue on. It ends with an English version of the ending theme, and they are apparently different. Though sometimes it's hard to tell because a lot of the dialogue's in English deliberately. I think the song lyrics are in English deliberately.
See, this is what's great about playing in Japanese because I know that Sophie, she likes to use a lot of English loanwords, and I'm just like, this is adorable.
Mm-hmm. And it makes sense, I think.
Yeah. Register.
Yeah, no, music's great. Like you said before, art design's great, UI's great. Like, the game is very well put together. I think my only, like, overall complaints, like I said, are the combat doesn't quite ever go full action RPG. Like, you get to customize your Persona skills. There are some new skills. There are some fun stuff you can do with those skills, you know, and how they work. But you don't really, like... And obviously, you unlock new combos, but you only get, like, 4 upgrades for everybody in your Master Arts.
Mm-hmm.
Which does make it easier to, like, level everybody up through just smashing the buttons. But the combat system never gets quite super deep enough that I feel like I when fighting, like, bosses and stuff, because you can do a lot of requests to fight, like, iconic shadows and, like, get their fusibles so you can fuse them. You know, most of those were just like, all right, well, this guy has 1 billion HP, and I guess he's resistant to basic bitch attacks, so it's like, shoot a lot of SP, do area commands, dodge a lot of attacks. It doesn't feel super in-depth. It's still fun, but it never, like I said, feels very reactive. And that's really, I think, the only, like, serious thing I have, other than, like I said, there's a couple of, like, light touches in the writing where I'm like, I feel like you could have ratcheted that up a little bit, but overall, really, chef's kiss. Beautiful work. Give me a sequel. They do a soft sequel call in the ending. They're like, so we're all going to meet up for winter vacation next, right? Now that I'm assuming they're actually going to make Persona Strikers 2, but like I said, they do the classy Persona.
They're going to make Persona. They're going to make Persona 5 Arena, and we're going to bring in all the characters.
I could see it. I do also think, especially since Joker is in a fighting game, oddly enough, I do actually think that, especially with what they do with the different characters' movesets in this game, you could definitely also make a fighting game out of this. Like the Persona characters. Like, Joker's a generalist, of course, because you always have to use him. He stays in your party no matter what. Now, if he dies, the game's not over for once, but yeah, you always have to have Joker in the party, so he's always grossly overleveled. But they do a lot of different stuff.
I feel like I could have took him out, but let me check.
No, you will not be able to remove Joker. You can switch from Joker,
which is neat.
Yeah, I like. And you do the baton pass, and that increases the showtime gauge. It's great.
Yep, nope, I just tried. No, you cannot remove him from the party.
Yeah. So you just can't get rid of him. But they do a lot of different stuff. Like, Skull's a very, like, heavy and slow charge character. He's got a lot of moves you charge up. His default, like, triangle special is just become immune to flinching.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Characters like Ann and Makoto can add their elemental affinities to their basic attacks, which is cool. Joker also has a little bit of his acrobatic, like, some of his gunplay skills are kept over as well, so he's got a lot of interesting range options. Your double tap triangle is a pretty...
I use that a lot.
Yeah, I'm facing the final boss. I'm still using that basic combo. It's a very good, ranged area effect combo. And when you get far enough in his master arts, it stops using up your real bullets.
Yes.
So it's a pretty solid move. Haru being a character who in the game, her persona is gun and Sai, is also like her default triangle hold down is just she and Milady shoot guns. Boom, boom, boom. I also love that they do actually make everybody's weapon like truly different. Like Haru has a fucking grenade launcher. It's a fucking area blast. Skull's got a shotgun, so it's a wide burst. Ann has her submachine gun, so it's like big ammo capacity, wide area, inaccurate as hell. She just sprays and prays. I think they gave, like, not full-blown AoE, but Makoto's, like, heavy pistols and revolvers are also, like, similarly, like, it's a little bit of an AoE burst. Like, it's a chunky bullet.
Chunky.
Sophia shoots laser beams.
Pew.
When you get her last master art, they become gravity bullets, so if you hold it down and charge it, they suck enemies towards them.
That's terrifying, but awesome.
Yeah. Sophie's got some very interesting mechanics with her, like, perfect catch and, like, increasing her range with her yo-yos. They do a lot to make everybody feel different.
Oh, yeah.
With their different stuff. Fucking Mona's default triangle special becomes the Monomobile. I just fucking drives through. That's also one of, if you haven't seen it already, that's one of Makoto's combo strings, is she just drives Johanna through enemies. I love it. There's so much work. Like, we talked about how, like, obviously the models are pretty similar, but there's so much animation work, and there's so many callbacks and forwards. And there are definitely, like... There are definitely combo moves and stuff that are inspired by things the characters do in their various showtimes in Royal. Like, Yusuke does a lot of his finger framing thing, slashing stuff, breaking stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yusuke also has a unique element where, because he could learn all the counters in his persona normally, he has moves that are default counters. A lot of his triangle specials are, and if an enemy attacks you, you counterattack them.
I use Yusuke on a fairly basis. Well, I always switch over to whoever I get the baton pass to, which I think is cool.
Yeah. They do great work with, like, oh, you got a one more baton pass. Also, if enemies have, like, a vulnerability or you feel like you're in a deadlock, allies will sometimes call it, like, hey, you want me to use Agi? That would be good right now, right? And you can switch to them, and they do it. Like, the AIs are pretty... They're not perfect, but they're pretty sensible about, like, evading and doing weaknesses and stuff. Overall, like I said, 9 out of 10. Very good game.
I'm excited.
I do still have some stuff I want to go back and do with it, but I will do that, and then I'll go back to Royal, and I'm sure we can also have great thinky thoughts about that.
Oh, man.
Though, obviously, do keep in mind, I can't jump straight into the new stuff. I still do have to. I was cock-blocked before by Shido's Palace. I still have to do that whole fucking boat. and save Christmas. I guess technically this time we're saving Summer Vacation?
It's the Recess movie all over again.
It is. It truly is. And like I said, I'm sure, if not completing it, Lucky will be much further along, and we can talk about plot stuff next week.
Yeah, no promises, because do you think we're done with our Persona talk for now?
Yeah, for now. We've spent about an hour and a half on it. I think we're good.
Yeah, because Lucky's actually having a bit of a problem right now, and the fact that I have too many games again. I only bought 2 of them.
Hate when that happens.
Yeah. So, because I went out with my mom this past week, and one of the things my mom always does is like, hey, do you want something? And I'm just like, I want video games. She's like, all right. And she spoiled me, and she let me get 2. So I was able to pick up Bravely Default 2 and Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening for the Switch, because I wanted both those games. But then, because I live in the ye old US of A, I got my stimulus check, and while I bought an electric scooter, there's a story about that already, I also bought a couple more games. One of them was P5 Strikers, which I'm playing right now, but I also bought Sakuna of Ruin and Rice. Mega, have you heard of that one? It made some rounds, but it wasn't like, I don't necessarily say it was super big.
I have heard of it because I believe that some of the HoloLens girls played it.
Yes.
But I don't know much about it.
So the best way I'm gonna explain, best way I can explain it is basically it's an action RPG with farming mechanics on it. So kind of like Rune Factories, it's your Harvest Moon with fighting monsters in it, which I'm all about because I love games like that I get to do that.
Yep.
So I have that, but I'm just like, I want to play this, but do I want to maybe stream any of these? Probably not Bravely Default 2. That's big old JRPG.
That's a full-blown Big Daddy Square Enix.
Yeah, that's that Square Enix.
That's a slow roll. It takes a certain style to stream straight-up JRPGs.
Yes. So, also, I'm getting fucking legendary Sherlock Hunter yellow card. I knew someone was gonna say it, but I'm fucking. Oh my god. I really do not like how everyone wants to compare a guy with a super fast katana as Virgil. Please stop.
I'm pretty sure that was a meme before then.
Yeah. No, it's literally it's literally based off those old Japanese fucking Aijutsu fucking displays and what of drawing so fast and like resheathing before the thing fucking falls apart. They just decided to animate it the fuck up. Stop comparing everything to Virgil, you animals.
What I'm trying to say is, does Koei Tecmo ever worked with anybody on a DMC thing? Probably not, no.
Probably not, no.
And also, to be fair to Yusuke, he also does that a lot of different ways. That is in fact several of his combo strings, but they are very different.
How do I get this treasure chest?
You have to think about it. Do some platforming, pathfinding, phantom sleuthing.
Third eye. I don't know.
I do kind of miss that you can't third eye in real life anymore. I know it's pointless, but also it's like, but I wanna.
But you wanna. Sorry, we just have some really big DMC nerds, and sometimes they get a little obnoxious.
DMC is definitely, Devil May Cry is one of those franchises where, like, if you love Devil May Cry, you've got to yell about it for some reason.
But, so, now, talking about games, so, like I said, I'm showing you guys P5 Strikers right now. I'm playing it for use. Unfortunately, this is not a stwam, and I probably won't stwam it now. I don't actually. If I beat it by next week, this might be the only stream. I don't know. But
we'll see what happens.
We'll see what happens.
It's relevant anyway.
It's relevant. But that means I still have, I have some Switch games of, Link's Awakening and Sakuna. I'm not opposed to waiting to play them to stream, but I would definitely want to know if people would would like to see them stream, because I did double check. I can stream on my personal channel. I only have 32 subscribers, but I guess people watching BB spins right round for 10 minutes got me some attention a little bit. I don't know.
It probably pushed you over the view count. I know that we cross-posted it to our normal channel at least once, so makes sense.
Now, but the only problem is eventually, eventually, it will happen. I'm gonna make my fucking VTuber debut, and I kind of wanted to use my personal channel for that. So I don't know if necessarily I want to preload that with, you know, other content, I guess is the best way to say it, because
you want a clean slate.
Yeah, because I guess, you know, once I get everything, the only thing on that channel right now is the BB video, because, well, as I said, someone literally just posted it like a fucking week ago on our Discord, so I'm like, all right, I don't want to necessarily get rid of it because people do watch it, but everything else I had on that channel is gone. I even changed the name.
Yep.
So,
I think in general the thing is we're getting pretty close.
Yeah.
We're very close.
Well, very close, but I don't know if I want to wait another month potentially to play Link's Awakening and Sakuna. That's the thing. I'm like,
So let's see. I think it'll be... Yeah, we are almost exactly 1 month out. We are 4 weeks from, I think, like, it's the, 11th of April.
Well, fortunately, I still have a bunch of fucking Final Fantasy 14 to play, so that will be no problem taking up my time. But what I've been usually trying to do is I try to, like, put some hours into Final Fantasy, get some basic thing done, do some extra stuff, and then I move on. Like, that's what happened today. I got up at, like, 8 a.m., put in, like, 4 hours of Final Fantasy, went and did some stuff, came back, and I'm playing Strikers.
Seems like a good way to do the thing.
Mm-hmm. So I'm just
it's interesting with the jonesing for the streams, right? Like,
yeah.
I've tried to do some premieres, like, of What's Up, but also I feel like that hasn't... The novelty's probably worn off, and I feel like that's not doing anything. Like, some people even noted they feel like they're not getting, like, notifications on their premieres and stuff. So I'm going to experiment, by the way. This one's not going to be premiered. I'm just going to drop it the day it comes out for public and just have it go and all be available if people want. You know, we'll see if that does anything to, like, view numbers. That, and also the fact that I'm going to declare we're yelling about, you know, P5 Strikers again. Also scooters.
Scooters. Yeah, but so... I'll probably yell about this in our own Discord and maybe on our channel a bit about streaming on other things. If nothing else, I can just make another fucking YouTube channel, I guess. Because I did figure out the fucking Gmail trick of how to link multiple mailing accounts to one account. Actually, I was able to actually set up a whole new Twitter on there. That's going to be my VTuber Twitter. You won't find it, by the way. I'm telling you that right now. So, there is that, but I mentioned my scooter a couple times, so I think I'll talk a little bit about that if, Mega, you have nothing else to say.
Well, I do want to mention about streaming. That is the thing, because I have a couple things of that make sense to drop in now. It's obviously, we are getting closer, and like I said, I think I've kind of avoided the Jonesin for it because I'm recording a progression tournament. It's not with, like, a full live stream, but I literally get together every Wednesday night with the lads and ladettes, and we play a children's card game for about an hour, and then we talk about it for later. So I'm pretty cool. But in April, there's a couple of things we are aware of. We're both bad at doing things unless we're locked in, so I'm locking us in. Sometime in April, we're gonna figure out the share play stuff on PlayStation. We're gonna do it.
Yeah.
We've been talking about it forever. We'll do it. We'll figure it out. We'll just sit down and do it in April sometime.
April.
There's honestly no point in... I mean, okay, so there's a little bit of point in figuring out ahead of time, but, like, it's not like we should get, like, raring to go and figure out our setups before we could stream, like, a month. We might forget. Who knows? But on that note of, like, doing some of that stuff, PlayStation has announced they're doing more with their PlayStation at Home thing, which is they're making more games free to everybody, or free on PSN, at least. I think it's everybody, though, on Play at Home, if you want to redeem them for a limited time. So starting, like, later this week, they're going to add a bunch of new games. They've already added stuff like Horizon Zero Dawn and Ratchet & Clank. The newest one, because the new one's not out yet.
Listen, it's a tactical move, y'all. They're coming out with a new game for both of these titles in this foreseeable future. I'm on to you, Sony.
Yeah, no, this is a one. We want you to stop bitching about how cool Xbox Game Pass is, but also it's like, but we also know you're going to. There's new games we got this planned that are gonna come out. You're gonna want them. It's a good marketing tool. But among that, they're also offering a lot of what sound like great time wasting games. Like The Witness is going to be free again. I think I still got that from when it was on PS Plus. But also, they're adding the console version of Subnautica. Now, for those of you who don't know, Subnautica is a game that has a little bit of Studio Mega Channel history. Lucky streamed a complete playthrough. Pretty sure functionally complete.
Yeah, no, it was complete. Well, no. I remember. It broke at the end, and I literally had to, like, hack into the game. Get the, well, not hack, but,
You had to do some console shit.
I had to do some console shit. Yeah.
But you completed it streamed to our Discord.
Yeah.
That was a thing for a while. And it is a game that, Lucky, I know you enjoy, and I have watched other people play and enjoy. So I think that I'm gonna lock in that after we get our streams back, and I haven't bought it yet, so I can wait for it to be free and wait for streaming. I'm gonna stream Subnautica. And if we can get the remote play stuff good and our timing works out, I'd love to have Lucky also hang out there. But it may just be me, depending on what our timing is like. But it's on the plans. Like, I'm definitely streaming Subnautica. Come hell or high water. Yeah,
I could be an animal, because I think I heard about it. I think Below Zero is about to hit 1.0 soon.
Ooh. Yeah, I haven't seen a lot out of Below Zero in a while, because I know it was like Markiplier got me into Subnautica because he played all of it several times through the in-dev phase, by the way, as well. So, like, he restarted several times, but he played the whole thing. And he got into, like, a couple episodes when Below Zero first came out, but it was obviously, like, a very incomplete game. I think they've even changed, like, the basic plot a couple of times and how you start the game since then. I know you've been waiting for it to be more complete as well to play it, so...
Oh, yeah.
Pretty cool. Cool. But, yeah, those are my just quick streamy thoughts. So, the scooter. The scooter.
The scooter, so...
Actually... Do you want to start with the helmet?
Oh.
Just in case people don't remember or didn't hear that story from Let's Talk yesterday?
No, okay, so in case you haven't heard it yet, so... I am a daredevil. I throw caution to the wind, but I have fallen off enough times that I'm concerned about my head. I'm concerned about my brain case. You know, my meat locker and whatnot. So... I ordered an electric scooter. It was about it wasn't overhead. It was about $700 total because I also bought a warranty with it because, again, I have ridden things before. They crash.
This isn't Lucky's first rodeo.
So all in all, about $700. I bought a helmet. I bought an extra large. Lucky has a big head. I measured it. It's like 24 to 26 inches. I can't remember. I did some double checking. I did some research. It's like, all right, you want to get an extra large helmet? I'm like, okay, cool. I will order this extra long helmet. I got like a standard looking skateboard helmet. You know the ones. Fucking, very dome. You know, comes down like maybe to your ears and a little behind. I was like, okay, this will be fine. I don't need anything fancy. I ordered it. It comes in yesterday. My friend brings it in. It's like, here you go. I was like, oh, sweet. This is my helmet. I grab it and I'm like, this feels very light. Immediate first thought. I was like, oh, well, it was probably using some, you know, some cool, you know, technology for stuff. I open it up, I look at it, I'm like, this seems very small. It was not just me. It was very small. I cannot put this thing over my head. I literally put it on top of my head, it just sits on top. I'm just like, oh no.
Ruh-roh.
Yeah, no. I showed my friend, he died laughing. Because Lucky's been growing out his hair. He's been growing out his hair for like the past year. People probably don't like know this. I don't talk about this stuff a lot. Because I'm planning on being super stylish and suave and cool. So I plan on styling my hair when it gets long enough, but it's not quite long enough, so I have to deal with a bunch of the in-between phases, I like to call it. It's kind of a pain. Oh, wait, no, I didn't want to go back there. But so first I thought, okay, maybe it's because of my ponytail. Maybe because it's sitting where. Nope. Still sits on top. I tried taking out some of the interior padding. I'm able to squeeze it on, and it feels like someone has literally like wrapped a belt around my head and is pulling as tightly as they can. I'm just like, okay, this can't be right. Oh fuck. So yeah, I checked the measurements. Yeah, no, they say it's an extra large, but it's not an extra large for me. It's an extra large for kids. They sent me a fucking kids extra large. And I'm just like, why? I don't want to deal with this. I've already put in for the return, so I'm probably going to go take that back at some point. I might go on my nice new scooter. I did, like I say, it came in today. I had a fun time setting it up. I charged it up. It's a big boy. Lucky's like it's like 270 pounds, and it can take my weight. It can't go as fast as it can, so this is more incentive for me to lose weight so I can NYOOM better. But it gets me up hills and it gets me to work in about 10 minutes. Well, I take that back. It gets me to work in like 7 to 8 minutes. It gets me back in 10 minutes. There's hills involved. I know this is because one of the first things I did once I actually got up and running is I went to test it and I drove it all the way to work and back. I had an encounter upon arriving at work because at my work there's just this steep downhill slope into the parking lot, and so I went down it and tried to brake on that hill. That was a bad idea. Lucky went flying. And in order, he smashed his right wrist, his right elbow, right shoulder, right hip inside, both his kneecaps, and all of his pride. It was very painful. This is Lucky doing Peter Griffin on the ground for like a good 5 minutes.
Well, I've done it. I've not that exact thing before. Never. I think I said this when you brought up a scooter. Never been a scooter guy, but no, I know what you're talking about.
Like I was pretty fortunate. Like I didn't have any bad scrapes. I didn't necessarily like twist or sprain anything. It's just a lot of blunt force trauma to a lot of areas. I think my wrist. Well, my wrist was the first point of impact, so most of the shock went there. Unfortunately, if I had been smart, I would have because the reason why it did that way is because as soon as I hit with my arm, I immediately pivot to my elbow to try and disperse more of the force.
Yeah.
Listen, you fall enough times, you start to learn just to fucking roll.
Yeah, no. This is a pretty basic human thing about how to fall goo.
Yeah. I was able to, it's basically go to my elbow, protect my head, and just roll. So yeah, my head didn't hit the ground at all, thankfully.
As intended.
Yep. But it was just a moment of like, that smarts. Like I said, it still hurts now. The pain's mostly faded, but I also took some drugs and alcohol. By the way, kids, do not mix drug and alcohol. It's bad. So, yeah, no, but I really like the thing. Maybe I'll post some pictures of it later and show people. It's already slightly beat up. I'm considering throwing big titty anime women all over it.
Go for it. Live your best life.
Well, I do, but I'm also considering if this is necessarily work. Like, if my workplace would be okay with this. This is the thing I have to
your best life within reason.
Yes. Actually, what?
No, I absolutely understand that. Like, I think we both talking about this. Neither of us is really shy about the kind of stuff we like, but also, I at least am like, no, I don't want to make anybody uncomfortable or like threaten my job over it. I don't care that much.
Yeah. It's like if they don't care,
you're not gonna like explode and die if you don't have a big titty anime scooter.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, I found some sweet ass T-shirts that I was thinking about. Hey, I'm gonna post on the Patreon because some of y'all might be interested in these. Don't ask questions why Lucky was looking for these kind of things. Just know that he was. Let's see. I'm gonna post
I have no questions at all. I open this up, I observe everything about it, I take it in through my Mark 1 eyeball, and I'm like, this checks out. This is legit.
Lucky was looking at maybe getting these 2 T-shirts. I'm like, I would like to wear them outside, though. It's like, well...
I mean, it's better, and certainly that first one is better than that second one, than those guys who go out and, like, the hoodies or T-shirts with all the, like, Ahaga faces pasted over them, which is, like, not explicit, but also definitely not okay. Like, when somebody sees that, you're like, all right, something's wrong here. What are you doing?
Yeah.
Why are you wearing those faces?
Yeah, but I'm looking at these and I'm just like, I want these. But I'm like, I probably don't want these at work, though. What then runs in my problem is I don't go outside a lot, so I just be wearing these at home. So I'm like, I don't know. Maybe when I go on a nice scooter ride.
Lucky's gonna become that guy.
I'm gonna become that guy.
He's gonna be the scooter guy. With
Oh
the,
no,
with
trust
the weird shirt.
trust me. I was getting stares because the main road I go down has a bike lane, so I'm just zooming down the bike lane. I don't know. I don't think I was going particularly fast. I think let's see here.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see. Let me double check here because it uses a kilometers per hour, and I can't mentally.
Yeah, I'm not good with that conversion. I think it's like 2 to 1 ish.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So
no,
so I was going like 40. I was going about 40 miles. 40 kilometers per hour, which approximately translates to 24 miles per hour down the road on a scooter.
It's actually 0.6.
The what?
It's 1 kilometer is 0.6 miles. So yeah, it's not quite 2-ish, but it's 2 to 1, I guess. 2 kilometers is about 1 mile and some change.
Yeah, so I'm going a little over 20 miles per hour on the scooter down the road on the bike lane, just neat. So a lot of people were getting, huh?
That's T-Rex fast.
Yeah. So people were giving me looks, just like, is that dude on a scooter just human? I'm like, yeah, that's me.
They wish that they could live at this speed.
Yeah, I need goggles though, and better jacket though, cause wind chill's a bitch.
No, yeah. So yes, he's definitely gotten rid of it. But for a while, my dearest father owned a motorbike. Not like a hog, like a cruising, like a long range bike.
I know those.
He wanted to take road trips because he's a road trip guy. But like there was a lot of conversations over the years, and as he went through a couple of different bikes about the kind of tech you need for that, like. Jeans are very important if you're riding a motorcycle long term. Like, and you do need a jacket to keep yourself warm and to make sure you don't bang anything because you're not inside an enclosed metal box. So there are a lot of wardrobe considerations you don't think of until you start going 24 miles an hour in a bike lane. Like the goggles thing, I'm like, on the one hand, obviously, yeah, I'm, like my brain did the double think thing. It was like on the one hand, one half of my brain was like, yeah, no, duh, and the other hand was like, oh yeah, of course you need goggles, like. Because you don't think about moving at such speeds where you need goggles, but also you are moving fast and you are on a scooter. Of course you need goggles. You might also need a face shield. I don't know.
I'm probably not going for a full face shield, but definitely goggles. Like I said, it's only like 20 miles per hour.
Scarf?
I think I just want a scarf just for aesthetic reasons.
I mean, if you get a good enough scarf, it'll flap behind you when you're going that fast.
Yeah, it will.
Feel free to hum right on Shooting Star, guys.
But, yeah, no, so, like I said, I spent a pretty penny for the scooter, and I wanted to last at least a year and a half. That way, it's basically paid off itself, and basically paid for another one of it. Maybe a better one. Eventually, Lucky's going to upgrade himself to maybe an electric bicycle, and then maybe up to a full-on motorcycle. But this purchase was basically to keep me from having to take a bus there and a bus back. So actually, I should be getting a little bit home a little bit earlier than I normally would, unless I decide to change up my schedule, which I might do. Might talk to my workplace about seeing if I can work 4 10s and maybe get Wednesday off. I don't know. I'll figure out something. I'll talk about something. I'll do something. Hey, if I get that off, maybe I'll make that an official work on Studio Omega stuff day. That'd be something.
Work-life balance is important, kids.
Well, like I said, that's the problem I have right now is because I work the quote-unquote 9 to 5, my weekend is literally my weekend. It's like, this is the only time I have for a break.
Which is ironic because due to the way we set up stuff, I probably do most of my work on the weekend.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
Because that's when you're free, so that's when it's like, okay, these days we're definitely recording. We're editing audio. We're shooting stuff. And then we game on Sunday because that's a free day for you as well. So, like,
yeah.
No, those are like, no, I'm pretty busy on weekends. So it's funny how things all shake out.
The heart lights up. Listen, Shadow Alice, I'd be real into your look except for the fucking eyeballs. Ugh. I'm just sending the calling card, by the way.
Yep.
But yeah, so we'll see how things shake out in the future. If I can get if I can like basically slam like a Wednesday where it's like, all right, I'm gonna work on Studio Mega stuff on this day. That might help some workflow stuff instead of me being like, I'll try to do a little bit here, a little bit there, see what happens here, see what happens there. I'll knock this out real quick. Oops. Yeah. Because like honestly, I really don't feel like I never have enough time for anything. Heck, because like I said, I get up around 6. Oh, currently about 6:30 in the morning. I get home around 4:15 in the afternoon, and I have to go to bed around maybe 11:15. So let me try to think here. So 4:15 to 11:15. That's what, 7 hours. That's 7 hours on weekdays I have to do everything. And sometimes that everything is like, I just want to lay down and not think about shit. And then Friday comes around, and then it's immediately into recording, immediately into doing whatever needs to be done for thumbnails and whatnot. Saturday is I have to block out my afternoons for recording. Same with Sunday. It's like, blah. I would definitely
people think that it's easy to just roll up in here and turn on shit, and like we definitely started at that tier, but there's a little bit more of like, okay, we need to make sure we're free. Are we ready to talk about this? Are we ready to, do like you said, like you do thumbnails now, and you put a decent amount of effort into them. I say as I am actually looking at our content, and I'm looking at the Let's Talk FGO thumbnail. Great work, by the way. You did that after we finished the show, so yeah, that's you clearly had a vision and you pulled it off very well. But I also know that took you some extra steps to do.
Yes, it did.
Well, it seems to be working. The video is doing very well. It's been topping our most recent 10 videos in views by almost by 200. And our sub count is actually shooting noticeably up today. So everything is working, obviously, as intended. But yeah, a lot of people still assume that content creation is just really easy autopilot stuff, and it's not. And honestly, like talking about days, I should set aside a day to work on stuff. It's like we're reaching a point in our content creation where we can't just go. Like, obviously, some stuff can be off the cuff. That's good for certain kinds of content. And I know some YouTubers even have multiple channels for that stuff. I still don't know if we're big enough to do a full-blown split and do a sub-channel for more casual stuff. But there definitely needs to be at least a thought process about, okay, how much effort does this project warrant? Is it easy to club together? Like I talked about progression earlier. That's Wednesday nights and nights for me because one of our players, Dallas, has a night class. So I don't get to record that until 9 o'clock at night my time. Not a big deal. I'm a night owl, but that's when we start. We shoot for an hour-ish, and then we immediately do post-game stuff. We go into setting up our next week's format. We do our next drafts. We start trading. So I might stay up with those guys another couple of hours. Sometimes we're feeling the Yu-Gi-Oh buzz, so we play some pickup games at the end. And then I've got an hour's worth of video clips I need to stitch together in my video editor and all that stuff and render it. So that's either that evening or a chunk of my afternoon the next day as well. So there's a decent amount of effort, and I'm thinking about how to improve that as well. I'm running a poll on our Twitter right now if you haven't seen it. It's for 24 hours, so depending on when this goes live, it might be over. But if you're listening to this live, if you're a patron, or if you got the early access, if you're a patron, you can check it out on our Twitter. I'm testing out some new thumbnails. We are technically moving into a new quote-unquote season, as in we're physically moving into when a different series of the anime aired. It's time for GX. Get ready for Elemental Heroes. But I've been thinking about it. I'm like, okay, I want to spruce up my thumbnail a little bit. My OG thumbnail was functional, but some of the views have slipped on the last couple of weeks, and it's really recent too. Most of
I'm sorry, Meg, I have to cut you off. The people wondering why I'm not doing anything in game is because Rivers in the Dryland has played it, and I'm jamming right now. It's the regular version, but it's still a good version.
No, that will be. You said the calling card. Its life will change then, right? Look, he's thinking thoughts. What was I talking about?
I could be wrong.
Yeah, he's on his console. He's on PS5. You mentioned that.
I think, yeah, I might have. Might be
Discord's finicky about streaming. Sorry, guys. Again, this is something that
his life has changed. I'm done. I'm fucking done, yeah.
That's okay. Last time we talked about Persona music, I, completely couldn't remember the name of Shapeshifter. It's the, what is it? Beneath the Mask.
Yeah,
Beneath the Mask.
Beneath the
Rain
Mask.
version. I was going to say Beneath the Rain. I'm like, nope, not right. Almost fucked it up again. So, that's fine. We're even now. We're 1-1.
All right.
Yes, that's something Lucky is currently playing this on his console. He's recording it, so if you want to see the gameplay, if you're listening live on as a patron right now, you'll have to wait. He'll upload it afterward.
I will.
But that is another thing that we will definitely be going back to doing live stream What's Up. That worked really well, I think, for us, and that will mean that then there'll be ways to get gameplay. But for the moment, Discord is still finicky about setting it up with the fucking capture cards and shit.
Mm-hmm.
I was talking about my progression thumbnails, right? So we're doing a new season, and I'm like, okay, the views are slipping a little bit. I'm trying to do some different stuff with titles, and obviously, some of these sets aren't going to be super popular, so some of them won't do very great. We'll kind of go back and forth and see how it goes. It's a fun thing I'm doing anyway. Might as well record it, right? Same with when we do APs. Though obviously we do put a little extra effort into them. Other than last week, yes, Lucky got his brand new monitor in the middle of a game session, so he had I think you had to do a full restart.
No, it was
a return of Ghost Lucky.
I don't know what happened, but when I unplugged something, apparently my entire computer started to reset without my prompting it to. So I'm just like, why? But it did.
Some wires got crossed, something got wiggled. You ghosted a little bit, so there was no video because we would have had to reset and stitch, and it was just nah, it's fine. We didn't know what was up, but that was a rare situation. Hopefully we'll be back to that this week. Super excited for that. Been thinking about it all week. It's going to be fun. Check out this brawl.
I'm a little concerned, though, because I was listening to a little bit, and my audio sounded weird to me. I was very loud and reverberary.
I don't remember that from the session.
Yeah, I know.
Did I? No, I don't think I fussed with anything. Maybe you got a little weird after you reset once. I don't know.
Maybe.
There's a range of hearing and recording where a lot of stuff I'm just that's just normal. Dallas, for instance, he's pretty loud. That's just how Dallas is. I accept it. Luckily, his mic is not as bad as it has been in the past. That would be ludicrous.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes because he used to be very soft, but you notice these little things. Well, maybe we can even do a little pre-recording troubleshoot on audio when everybody rolls in. But yeah, check that out. Still doing decently in views. It's got 50, so more people can go watch it. That's good. But yeah, so I'm go ahead.
Axe, you should talk about that while we're gaming.
Yeah, gaming. Like I said, pre-mix stuff. But yeah, no, so I'm thinking, okay, I can put a little effort. My previous thumbnail, while I think it's a good concept, was also, it's technically a background grab of something they used from the original anime that was made in, the late 90s, so it's not high-res in any way. And I'm I can make this a little cleaner, and I'm currently polling between either a particular more GX-focused design, which is modeled after the card polymerization, because fusion is a good mechanic in GX, and it's got kind of a cool swirly pattern to it, but also it makes text really hard to read no matter what you do, because it's a lot of swirling colors. Or I actually found an official wallpaper that was put out by Yu-Gi-Oh's Twitter, back when quarantine started, which was use these backgrounds when doing streaming calls. One of which is basically a higher res, cleaner version of the idea behind what I am doing anyway. So I'm okay, either of these can work. So, we do these little efforts. Last episode of Progression, you should go find it. I actually did probably my first ever in Progression funny audio, audio-visual gag. To describe it, Vesper used a very interesting deck type, and we met in the finals. And even though at no point did anybody think that Vesper's deck should have gotten there, including Vesper. So, it was very funny, and it didn't go for the win. I'll spoil it for you. I won. This is my 3rd win overall. But it's interesting to see how we get there, and you got to find out how exactly you're there. But So after that match, but before I went to the next segment, because we have a closing segment, I actually found the sad the sad violin music, and so I put in 5 seconds of sad violin, and I black and white because Vesper gave me an image of their deck list and was like, "You got to put this in the episode somewhere," and I'm like, "I'll work it out." So yeah, there's like a 5-second visual gag in there. Like it's, and hopefully I'll do other stuff. I talked about this with Lucky. Like if we have a super long unbanning segment for our next 15 because we ban cards and then we unban cards later when they're no longer a problem. Much like real Yu-Gi-Oh! If that goes on for like 30 minutes like our last round of that did, I'm literally gonna like speed it up to like 4 or 8 times, whatever's funnier, and I'm gonna put the little fast forward symbol over it, like I said, and I'm gonna let it run, and we're gonna see what happens because I am actually exploring the kind of stuff I can do.
Yeah,
and you know we can stretch our limits a little bit. We're having fun. I think I talked about this before. I shot it way ahead of time because I was super jazzed about doing the project anyway, but Wanted Comma's gonna come out soon. I did something similar with like actually putting a decent amount of effort into editing and composing it. So yeah, working on stuff.
Yes. Stuff.
And I have some April purchasing plans for some more other videos, but I don't want to. That's going to need full-blown clickbait shock value, so I'm not going to talk about it any further. Though I'm also planning, like Lucky had to replace his second monitor, I'm also planning, because we're going to be getting back to streaming soon, I'm going to need to... it's something I've been talking about for a little bit. I'm going to need to get myself my second monitor and set that up as well. Also means I probably have to reorganize my desk, because I've got a big blob of stuff, but...
Blob.
It'll be good. We'll scooch some stuff over. We'll probably get one on like on the one side, get in my periph. Probably put non-important stuff off to the periph so I don't like constantly tilt my head and fuck up my mic audio space, but you know, keep it on stuff I need to click occasionally. Though actually, yeah, now I'm thinking about it, the way my desk is laid out, that would actually be very good, because where I'm thinking of putting it with a little space would be actually like with the angle, it would be good for peripheral where I'm sitting at my desk, but when I'm streaming like on my TV for my PS5 now, that would be where my sightline is to keep with my mic when I'm also looking at the TV. So that actually works out really good. I'll figure that out later. I gotta like price stuff out.
And now she got terrified. Oh. I like bunny girls, but...
I believe there's some strong thematic calls back to Shadow Risei with the Alice fight here. There's some similarities, some concepts.
I will say she has an ass, though. I approve of this ass.
So this is the thing I said. Like, I'm shocked at, like, the as far as I can tell, lack of fan art about Alice. As the first Monarch, I'm like, hold on, wait a minute. I've seen this design. You got nothing? Nothing about this?
If y'all can go fucking apeshit on animatronic monstrosities.
Like, this is just some good quality design, and she is the boss of the lust. Why has this not been a bigger thing? I don't know. This is just me. I have thoughts. Anyway, let's see. There was a beat before that I was thinking about that I have now lost. I still have a couple of other things I wanted to mention, but I'm trying to think. Was it? Nah, I don't got it. It wasn't important. Well, it may have been important, but if it was important, I'll circle back to it. The only thing I've got is, other than faffing for time, so Lucky can show off more of his boss fight. Okay. I got a couple of like minor things to throw out.
Her tail has "eat me" on it.
Yeah, no. It's a design. There's a direction here.
Wait, I gotta work this pole. Yeah! Perfect.
That's a great sound wave when you say yeah.
Oh, she can work the pole too. Okay.
Danger.
That is danger.
So, going out of context of Alice working the pole, there were a couple of like watchable things I wanted to mention. First of all, Lucky, did you know that God, I don't even remember the title. The Be the Beginning sequel's on Netflix now.
Oh, it is? Shit.
Yeah, 6 episodes. I don't know if that's the whole thing, but they put 6 episodes out. I think it was earlier this week. I only caught it because I follow a Twitter account specifically for this purpose. I have not had time because I've been jamming P5S so hard to actually sit down and watch it, but it's on my my periffs now. I'm looking out for it. So, yeah, I saw that the other day and I wanted to bring that up and to mention, yes, we do in fact know that exists. I'll be excited to see it, but I haven't delved it up yet. I have watched the first episode of Falcon and the Winter Soldier, which came out. It's pretty good.
Oh, I see. I'm definitely gonna have to go check that out. Oh shit!
Yeah, we were both pretty keen on B the beginning, even though it's a little
weird.
It's a little weird. I feel like maybe it was marketed by Netflix a little weirdly, but it's good quality work and it hits the themes we like. So we'll definitely be interested to see the follow-up. That's one of those things they announced they were doing for like forever ago. That said, still want my second half of Ghost in the Shell, Netflix.
Well, Ghost in the Shell, well, like I said, my big problem with Ghost in the Shell is they literally left the story open. They did not finish it. B the beginning had an end.
True. B the beginning had an end. That said, like I said, I believe it's only 6 episodes out, so I don't know if that's the whole package either. That's half a core, so I kind of hope they don't Ghost in the Shell me that hard again.
Yeah.
Ghost in the Shell at least was 12. That wasn't, or was it? It was 10 to 12. I don't remember the exact number right now, but it was about a core's worth. It just wasn't the whole story. So they cliffhangered, and then we got Backstreet Boys. So it's been a while.
Mm-hmm.
Been a while. So yeah, just leaving some watchable notes out there. And while I was talking, I did remember the thing I was going to mention because this is a new thing that happened to me today. I have another completely unrelated story tangent that I went on to Let's Talk FGO about Amazon shipping that you should check out there. Go watch that show, even though you probably already watched it because it's doing bangers. But I have a furthermore saga. So as an adult, I buy some of my own things. You know, my parents, I'm living with them. We ship and kind of like handle the groceries a lot generally together. But there's a lot of smaller stuff that I buy for myself. Get that subscribe and save, y'all. You know, the kinds of foods that you can like order on Amazon to ship you, like, you know, ramen, other stuff. But I set myself up as a subscribe and save batch for saltines. I like a lot of crackers, but I do actually like saltines. Take of that what you will. But also saltines are cheap.
Yeah, they are.
They're cheap and I like them. So I've, you know, ordered a month's worth upcoming and I set my subscribe and save. And so they arrived today. And I was very bamboozled as, I can't even pull it out. You can hear the authentic Amazon bag sounds. That's right. I ordered basically a month's worth, you know, 4 boxes of saltines. They came in a big white plastic Amazon bag, not even a cardboard box. And yes, the saltine boxes are a little beat up. I was very confused, Amazon. Probably not as bamboozled as Lucky putting on his children's size helmet, but like definitely like a... Did you guys seriously ship me fucking crackers in a plastic bag? You don't think this rated a box? Especially considering that usually when I get Amazon packages, like if they're over a certain size, and also when I order certain grocery items from like Walmart, there's stuff chock full of those, like they give you the full cardboard box, Lucky, right? And they're just stuffed chock full of those fucking airbags that you don't know what to do with when you get them.
Yep.
And it's just like, but you ship me crackers in a loose in a bag, no padding, no nothing. It's a thin ass plastic bag, and I'm like, this is awkward.
The more I fight Shadow Alice, the more she grows on me. This is dangerous. How destroyed were your crackers?
I don't like. There's no like. I mean, they're sealed in sleeves, so they're not like busted up or anything. I haven't actually cracked any open. The boxes are a little beat up, but they're not like destroyed. So I hope they're okay. Otherwise, I may have questions for later. Hopefully, my ramen ship's okay. That at least is like already halfway in a cardboard box, so they'll put it in another box, I think. But yeah, that was the minor story that wasn't that important that I was trying to remember earlier that I forgot. I was like, oh yeah, my boxes, my bag full of saltines in boxes. But, okay. Like he's in a boss fight. I'm sure it's very tense. That's why he's not speaking a lot.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Well, also, I have the slight problem that since I'm listening to it in Japanese, I actually have to read the hecking text.
Yeah, and I did mention this is a thing that happens. There's a lot of yelling in boss fights.
Yeah, there is.
It's honestly not really like that dynamic to the fight. Just people don't shut the fuck up while you beat up the boss.
Mm-hmm.
So, be the beginning. I mentioned that I like Falcon and Winter Soldier, but it's only the first episode, so there's like nothing to talk about yet. It's cool. I like it.
It's good.
I don't really... Yeah, I don't really have any further, like, big boy video game news to talk about. We mentioned the PlayStation Home thing. That's cool. Check that out if you got a PlayStation. Yeah, after I go back and do stuff on Strikers myself, I think I'm going to go back into Royal. Do we have any gacha news about?
Well, I know in Azure Lane, they are starting their next Ashes ship meta. It's Arc Royal meta, and she looks sweet.
As expected.
Mm-hmm. I'm a little upset because I was not actually able to get Hiryu meta. I tried. I was like to 70% to getting one, but I'm like, I'll live. I'm okay. Like, I didn't get 2 of the Northern Parliament ships. I didn't get that, but as long as I didn't miss a Ironblood ship, I'll survive. I miss an Ironblood ship. You're not gonna hear from Lucky. You're just gonna hear sobbing on the floor. I think I mentioned this before. The only reason I decided to stay with Azure Plains because I love the Ironblood that much.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I love this aesthetic too much.
But, yeah, let's... I was, before we were recording it, I have still been playing my Civ game. I think I'm going to squeak in a cultural win, a tourism victory before I really explore stuff. I have set up a couple corporations. It's pretty interesting. I'm not sure I actually like how they handle the corporation thing.
Oh, really?
So... You can, at least with the way you set them up, so you can set up an industry of a luxury resource with just a builder, right?
Right.
You have to control at least 2 improved versions of that luxury resource to do so, but that's not that hard if you have decent resource generation. You can go out of your way to do it. To start a corporation, you have to expend a great merchant.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah, you have to full-blown use them up. And to be fair, there are some great merchants who are useless. But, you have to control 3 of an improved thing. You have to unlock the corporation research and then get and use a great merchant. Now, obviously, I'm not even playing a gold-centered Civ. I mentioned this last time I talked about this. I'm Rough Riders Teddy Roosevelt, going for a little bit of an exploration, conservation, tourism kind of thing, Mm-hmm. I'm not playing a gold-focused Civ because I did get some industries and some stuff set up on some luxury resources, and I've been able to score some key builds like Big Ben, and I am the Owls of Minerva, who are all about money. I've got a lot of fucking gold, so, like, buying a rando worthless great merchant so I could make a corporation of Amber is not crazy. And to be fair, you can turn... Your corporation can, in that their hosted city, can create what they call products, which are basically, like, a special type of great work, which generates culture and tourism, which is cool. I believe also Amber generates faith for some reason. So, like, that also has some extra bonuses. So there's a little bit of depth to it, which I think is interesting. I just think that it's a little bit of a slow roll. Maybe because I've got, like, all the game modes on it is. And like I said before, I absolutely did not get to test out any of the barbarian shit this game run. Like, all my barbarian tribes were, like, slightly far enough away I didn't have to deal with them, and they all got beat up by other civs next to me or became city-states when I wasn't looking.
Mm-hmm.
I might find some more, because I do think there are some areas of encampments who maybe haven't, because I've still run into some rogue barbarians.
Oh, okay.
But, because even when you get to, like, the industrial area and whatever, barbarian encampments still spawn in unexplored zones of the map. So, like, I might have some chance to late game, but like I said, I think I'm actually going to squeak in my tourism victory, because nobody's fighting me on it, and I'm, like, crazy ahead on that. At some point, as a challenge to myself, I should probably pick a Civ and go with the intent of doing a domination victory, because that's always the thing I'm lax on, is raw military power. Well, like, you always got a couple of units rolling around, but I've never gone full ham of, like, I'm gonna kick your ass, son. Though I am sharing a border with the Dutch Empire right now, and this lady has walled herself in right up next to me, She's literally splitting the territory between me and one of my strongest allies, who is Russia currently, because he loves culture and stuff. So he's like, "You guys are great. You got a great civ." So it's I haven't yet decided if I may unleash the Rough Riders upon her to take over some territory and get access to some more natural resources at which I can exploit in the industry. There's some cotton just over the border, looking. But yeah, it's still fun. I like a lot of the modes. I like a lot of the add-ons. Like, I don't know when they added the Preserve District. I think that was in the Corporation update, but it's pretty interesting.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Go ahead.
Yeah, it's not the National Park, right?
No.
Yeah, no, the Preserve is definitely new then.
Yeah, I don't know when in the update it was, but that's a new district you can build. I'm pretty sure it's not a mod I have. I do have a couple mods installed, but I don't remember any of them having an extra one. But this has, like, it gets adjacency bonuses based on how good the tiles look, like the breathtaking or whatever, like a national park.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a district you can build, and you can build facilities in it.
Damn it.
To generate additional stuff adjacent to it and from tiles that are, like, beautiful. So it kind of lets you, like, not completely fuck up the aesthetics of your local area and still get good bonuses out of it. It's an interesting concept. Haven't played around with it too much, but there's still some fun stuff. So yeah, nothing really keen there to talk about.
Oh, I got
that Stellaris DLC, I believe, is still April. Said. Oh, actually, though, speaking of updates to games we play, there's one more thing. This may also be relevant to streaming. Among Us dropped that they're going to release their new map the 31st. So a little over... is that closer to... No, it's not really closer to 2 weeks, but it's a ways away.
Mm-hmm.
But end of the month, they're going to drop the new map, the new airship map, new tasks, new fun stuff. That'll be fun. Definitely will probably stream that, but also because it'll still be a couple of weeks before we can stream, we may still just get together and do a community game night one night and, you know, hang out with some peeps. Test it out. We have fun with Among Us. It's been a while. I kind of fell off Among Us when I realized they weren't coming out with that new map anytime soon.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people turn to fan mods, but I'm kind of like, eh.
I have this kind of weird relationship with mods.
The modded server, like, the concepts are kind of cool, but also it's like, I don't really care that much. Like, the biggest ones I've seen is proxy chat, which I'm like, that's interesting, but, like, I don't think that adds much to the game. Like, obviously some people say, oh, but it adds so much. I'm like, yeah, but not for me, though. I don't actually care what people are saying. Like, I think it makes it better for streamers because you can get a whole bunch of group of people together and you can actually hear each other.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, I'm like, nah, I don't care that much. The only other, like, big mod I've seen other than maybe some, like, tasks and stuff is they do a lot of Trouble in Terrorist Town callbacks, so there's, like, one of them has, like, the sheriff, who is a innocent who has a one-time kill power. If you get an imposter, you kill them, but if you miss and hit an innocent, you die instead. And I'm like, that's kind of neat, but also that's just how the game works anyway, right? Like, it's a cool concept, but I don't think it's going super deep. Yeah, there's some interesting role stuff, and there have been some mods that have been implemented into the core game as well, like the voting without revealing. Like, I do genuinely think they've got some cool stuff. They are also gonna, like, do, like, accounts and friends and stuff you can get access to, so they're doing positive stuff for the game. I'm just really interested to see the new map, especially because I have been playing Henry Stickmin. I know I haven't done a Let's Play in a little bit. I've been very busy playing other stuff. I will also get back to clearing that out because I have a lot of fun with that, and people seem to like those videos. But I've been doing other stuff. Multitasking, backlog. Remember to let Lucky know what you think about his backlog.
Yep.
Okay, but I don't think I got anything else, really. I don't necessarily want to be like, oh, we should wind down if you're still in the middle of yonder boss fight, but I mean, if the show's over, the show's over.
I've already lost once.
Yeah, I mean, if show's over, show's over. Lucky, you got anything else to talk about?
Not in particular.
We've exceeded a good old 2 hours-ish on a What's Up, and we had a very long conversation about Persona, so...
Mm-hmm.
We can go ahead and wind on down. Sorry, I'm silently yawning. That's why there's a pause there that you may or may not hear in the final edit.
Okay, something I wish. I wish they would tell me if I had a fucking debuff on this boss or not right now, because I'm not sure.
Yeah, if you go to the persona menu and highlight them with a skill, like you're going to attack them with something, it should display the analysis screen.
Oh, yeah, it does. Yeah, she does have attack down. Okay.
Yeah. Otherwise, I think the only way you can see it is when Futaba occasionally yells out a helpful reminder about the status screen. Which, I mean, I appreciate you don't have to do a specific command for analysis, but it's definitely, like, a little fidgety.
I super appreciate that she constantly attacks me with her butt. She knows what I'm about.
Well, she's after you. She's going to steal the jokers.
Mm-hmm.
But okay. All right. So, we're winding down the show. We hate to leave you hanging, but we'll do it just like Ghost in the Shell. Shows. If you like this episode, be sure to give it a like. If you have any comments, leave them in the comment section down below. Or hit us up on our Discord. My link is, as always, in the video description and on our channel page. If you're new here and haven't already, please subscribe to our channel to always get our latest videos, like more What's Up, like our flagship podcast, Let's Talk FGO, like other stuff, and also streams when we do those again. And considering that bell for notifications, so you always know when we post a new video. And again, once we're back to streaming in about a month, you know, when we're doing that as well. And it's a good time. You can also join this channel by clicking that join button or that link below. It supports us and gets you access to emotes and stuff. It's cool. And, of course, like we said at the front of the show, consider supporting us on Patreon. You can get access to episodes early in audio format for as little as $1 a month or $10 a year. Get access to the video version early. Similar time frame. Get access to listening to stuff live at highest levels and various other things going on. And it's a good time, and it really helps us out. Drives things like me buying new monitors. That's a business expense.
Mm-hmm.
Also, food. I literally did also mention that, like, I, you know, subscribe and save and stuff. You're literally feeding me. So, consider supporting us on Patreon. Or, I don't know, go back and watch that Uno stream again a couple of times. That's still, like, that's been within the last 28 days. We made, like, $1.50 on that from, like, like one person with YouTube Red or whatever watching it again. Because YouTube, if they have a subscription to what do they actually call it now? It's not YouTube Red anymore. Whatever it is. The YouTube membership, like, if you're actually paid into the paid version of YouTube, they just shear off a chunk of your subscription fee and give them to us for, like, you know, to replace ads. So we've got a couple of old streams that, like, somebody went back and watched all of them, and we actually made a little bit of money on it. I'm still bamboozled. What? When was this? All right, this has been What's Up. We will see you guys next week for more What's Up. We may or may not have a big P5S, you know, shakedown. So clearly you should buy the game and play it now. But we'll definitely have more stuff to talk about. Maybe we'll have time to sit down and watch me the beginning.
Yeah.
The second bit, whatever it's called. It has, so it's very unfortunate. It has yet another subtitle in there that I don't remember, but it's very anime.
Of course it is.
Is it like Be the Beginning Succession? I think it is. With 2 colons, by the way. All right, let's get on here.
All right, let's get on out of here. I'll tell you guys bunny love stories some other time.